States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, everyone. Our next meeting is Friday, February 12th, 9 o'clock here, of course. And I would ask you to please turn off your cell phones and no texting during the meeting. We're going to start with a consent agenda, and that's the minutes of the regular Board of Supervisors meeting in our last meeting, January 8th. I need a resolution to approve, or a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second. Okay, do we have any discussion? Any public discussion? Bring it back to the board. Allison?
Supervisor Hulbert?
Yes.
Supervisor Halbig?
Yes.
Supervisor White?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes. Okay, we're now going to move to recess the meeting to start the landowners meeting, and I need a motion for that.
Motion to recess. Motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, I think we all approve that. So, meeting right now, the board meeting is recessed. And I would remind everybody that supervisor comments during the landowners meeting are made as landowners and not supervisors. Go ahead. Read the days. Go ahead. My only act is to take nominations from the floor for the chairman of the landowners meeting. Mr. Causey? Do I have a second? Second for Pat Holmes. Any other nominations? Okay, nominations are closed. Mr. Diot is our chairman. Dick, if you'll come up, please. You'll handle that for secretary. All right. Yeah, I got it. You got it. Do you want your coffee? No.
The next order of business is to the nominations for a secretary. I thought you'd all want the job, no?
Nominate Allison Wade.
Allison, need a second? Rick Hulbert? Are there any other nominations? I gather not. Nominations are closed. You're the lucky winner. The next order of business is to announce the election results. We had one seat open for the landowners, and there was only one candidate. So by acclamation, Michael Gilpin will join the board. And I guess we'll swear Michael in now.
Yes.
Swear him in now, swear him at him later.
You'll repeat after me.
Okay.
I, Michael Gilpin,
I, Michael Gilpin,
a citizen of the state of Florida and of the United States of America,
a citizen of the state of Florida and the United States of America,
and being an officer of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District Board of Supervisors,
and being an officer of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District Board of Supervisors,
and a recipient of public funds,
and a recipient of public funds,
do hereby solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida,
and that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially perform the duties entrusted to me
and that I will honestly, faithfully, and impartially perform the duties entrusted to me
while in office as supervisor of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District Board of Supervisors,
while in office as supervisor of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District Board of Supervisors,
and will not neglect any duty imposed upon me by law, so help me God.
and will not neglect any duty imposed upon me by law, so help me God.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Do you want to do that, Mike?
My name is Michael Gilpin. My name is Michael Gilpin. I've been a resident of Sun and Lake for about a year and a half, and I moved here from Indiana, and very looking forward to working with everybody in Sun and Lake. Okay. I owned my own business the last 15 years of my career in the publishing business, and before that I was a general manager of a publishing company. Have 2 sons, 1 daughter, 4 grandchildren. Anything else? And my wife is Janet Gilpin. I think some of you might know. She's in the back here. There's Janet. Anything else? I'm a golfer. That's about all I do as far as recreation. I moved here because of being a golfer. I enjoyed Sun and Lake, but I look forward to just working with the whole community other than just golf. But I am a golfer. And proud of it.
That's fine. Thank you very much. Minutes of last year's meeting, could we have a summary of those and then have them approved? By the way, there's full copies of the minutes over at the entrance if anybody wants a copy.
Tanya Kennedy, General Manager. I'd like to summarize the minutes of the annual landowners meeting from Friday, January 23rd, 2015. Rex Bond was nominated chairman, and David Halbeck seconded the motion. Chairman Bond requested nominations for the position of secretary. Members of the audience nominated Kayla Lockhart as secretary, seconded by Rick Hulbert. Members of the audience then approved the minutes with no discussion. The first item discussed at the meeting was to bury the power lines along Sun and Lake Boulevard. Mr. Wright stated the project itself would be somewhere between $4 and $5 million, and there were roughly 9,000 to 10,000 ballots that would need to be mailed. Mr. Wright stated that it can't be done as a special assessment, as the money would need to be borrowed and taken from reserves, and then estimate an 130% increase in assessments over 5 years. After multiple discussions with the landowners, Mr. Miller stated that there was no support and he wanted to put the issue to bed and move along. President Bond asked the audience how they would like to see the project started, and would they like to see the board approve it, and how many would like the issue to be tabled. It was the opinion that the negative vote carried, and he thanked the audience for their help. The next item on the agenda was discussed of current landowner voting process. Mr. Wright said that he had been asked this year to summarize the report and distribute the report to the general public. Mr. Wright went on to discuss the financial status of the district and projects completed and projects that were to be completed in 2015. The next item on the agenda, Mr. McClure, who is the district attorney at the time, presented a discussion and to bring back the information, just for the landowners' information, the current for the voting process. Mr. McClure summarized the history of the voting process in the district, beginning with 1 acre, 1 vote, and with the platting and the sale of the lots in the district, it became 1 lot, 1 vote. Eventually, a new law was passed calling for a greater voice on the Board of Supervisors for residents due to large landowners controlling the vote. The law stated that as urban density increases, there will be more votes for supervisors based on the popular election method. The final change to the charter and the methodology of voting was when it was decided that your vote would equate with the financial burden you carry with the district. The popular seats have the control of the board now with 3 elected seats, and the landowners have a voice in the election of the other 2 members, with the reality being that there is no single large interest represented by a supervisor elected by a vote. Mr. McClure then asked if there was any questions regarding that issue, and we had several residents ask several questions, and the meeting lasted 1 hour, and the meeting was adjourned.
Thank you. Are there any errors or omissions? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the minutes? Pat Holmes, second. Pardon? What's your name? Your name, please. Dick Miller. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Motion's approved. Next item is the General Manager's report.
Good morning, Honorable Chair, landowners, and staff. In accordance with Section 9-110 of the Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District's Charter, I am pleased to present you the annual report on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. The focus of the district for 2015 was investing in the community infrastructure and amenities. We want to make Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District the premier destination in Highlands County and Central Florida. Some highlights of 2015 included completing the Deer Run Golf Course Cart Path Project, new tennis and pickleball courts, paving 2.5 miles of district roads, increasing the water utility base rate by $2.50 per month to $7.75 per month, which still represents the lowest water rates in Highlands County, increasing golf rates an average of 3%. We have a new general manager, was hired for both the golf club and the district. 35 oak trees and 400 pine trees were planted as part of a reforestation program on our golf courses. The district received a property tax exemption of approximately $24,000 for our golf courses and public recreational areas. We had 13 new construction for residential homes were permitted here in the district, and a new 40-unit development broke ground on Sun and Lake Boulevard. The golf and restaurant operations have continued to perform well financially, with golf revenue increasing over $114,000 from the previous year, or 6%, and the restaurant revenue increasing almost $190,000, which is 17% from the previous year. Even though the operational bottom line continues to be a loss, the district assessments subsidizing golf operations decreased by $243,000 from the previous year. The Deer Run Golf Course Cart Path project was completed during the year, along with other repairs and maintenance of this course, in the amount of $316,000. With golf being the major focal point of the community, our golf tournaments, including Sertoma, Firemen, Veterans, set the stage for a premier golf in Highlands County. Hosting the PGA Tour Latino U.S. qualifier has put Sun and Lake on the map. Many other district events and programs involving the community, including our pickleball clinics, our tournaments for pickleball, Zumba classes, water aerobics, our spring and fall events, 5Ks, and the Independence Day celebration. Last summer was the second year for the Sun and Lake Kids Club camps. These camps are self-supporting, bringing in more than $17,000 in revenues and 246 campers over an 8-week period. Our community outreach continues with events held at the Island View restaurant, including It's Your Bridal Expo, Dolly and Me Party, Oktoberfest, and Pilgrim Palooza. Moving on to the general fund. The general fund operation and maintenance residential assessment rates have remained the same for 7 years. The general fund continues to be strong for a fiscal year ending September 30th, 2015, finishing $560,000 of expenses over revenues. This $560,000 subtracts from our reserves, but the district budgeted $1.76 million to tap into the reserves for projects, but this did not happen. These projects were carried over to the next fiscal year. The general fund unrestricted reserves are approximately $4.5 million, equivalent to 14 months of operation. The new tennis and pickleball courts opened in October 2015, and several streets in Units 15, 25, and a portion of Cortez Road were paved in the spring of 2015. For the 2015-2016 fiscal year, the district budgeted over $1.4 million for a new maintenance facility, which is expected to go to bid in March of 2016. Other major projects for the general fund 2015-2016 fiscal year include the signage and landscape project and the restrooms and storage facility at the Racket Club. Highlands County is now a major landowner in the district with owning more than 1,200 lots. These lots were acquired through the escheatment process, and we don't know at this time how the county intends to sell these lots. The utility fund continues to perform well financially as a utility operation with more than $2 million in operating revenues this year and $136,000 operating revenues more than budget. The fund's net position was just over $11,000, including $560,000 of depreciation. A contract was executed last month with Excavation Point to begin the second phase of the Miranda Homes drainage project, including the waterline extension on Frontage Road and Ponce de Leon Boulevard, and the installation of a new pump. This $333,000 project is expected to be completed by July 5th, 2016, and the contractor has provided the district with a payment and performance bond. All of these projects that I've mentioned in this report, including our equipment replacements, have been paid or will be paid for with cash. The district remains debt-free. We thank the residents for coming here today to participate in this meeting and hear the state of the district. I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for the opportunity to be part of this team and to be able to present this report on their behalf. I look forward to the coming year and the challenges that will be presented. I am pleased to have been able to serve the landowners and the Board of Supervisors for the last 7 months.
Thank you, Tanya. If anybody has any questions for her, I'd like you to go to the podium, state your name. You see how easily Dick Miller was forgotten once he got off the stage? So identify yourself if you have a question for the general manager.
There is a copy of my report at the door when you came in, if you'd like to have a copy when you leave.
Bill Jackson, resident. I'd like to take a moment to thank Mr. Miller and the board for their excellent management of this district. You can't ask much more not having your taxes raised or assessments every year. And to have it go on for as many years as it has is a sign of their qualities and skill in management. So I'd like to take this opportunity in person to thank Mr. Miller and the other board members who helped make this possible. And I hope it continues on forever, at least until I go. So I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Bill.
Hi, Steve Honeymar. I live in Miranda Homes, and I just want to know about the project because we weren't informed on anything else happening to, if they're digging up our land, if they're going to put the pipes through our front lawn, or anything else. We were just told, hey, we're done. We put your retention pond in, and that was it. But now I see that you guys are, going to the second phase, but we were told there was 3 phases. So we just want to, get some clarification on what is happening with our property.
The Phase 2 project does not go through the neighborhood. Okay, it's a drainage project on Ponce de Leon frontage road. We have a new water line extension that is in that area, and a pump the pond that you spoke of, there is going to be a pump that's going to be installed there, but there will not be anything within the neighborhood of Miranda Homes for Phase 2.
Is that going to fix our water problem? Because I have catfish and frogs living in...
Right, that does not fix your water problem, no.
Okay.
But again, that area was developed when it shouldn't have been. I mean, that's unfortunate for the community of Miranda Homes. It is, numerous, I don't know if numerous projects have been happening over the years, but we are continuing to look at that area, and we do know that there are issues there.
Okay, so nothing's going to happen with our water problem?
I didn't say that. I just said that currently in our budget process, we have a Phase 2 for that project that we'll be doing. So.
But you said it wasn't going to take care of my water problem.
It does not take care of the water problem.
Right. So I just want to know what's on the docket for taking care of our water problem.
We don't have anything in the current budget for that.
But we have budgeted to fix golf course.
That's correct.
I just don't see the outline there for people that live there, where I have to have people come to my house and I have to put a board down for them to get into my house so they're not stepping in mud, a board trancing through 6 inches of water to actually come visit me. So we stop people from visiting us because they can't get to my house. I can't get to my mailbox every day until the water recedes, which, what was our storm? About 5 days ago? And I still have 5-6 inches of water in my driveway and in the front of my property.
We're aware of the water issues there, and so is the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, but nothing's been done. Thank you.
My name is Sharon Havener. I've lived on Cantoria Ave for 28 years. I've been here before in front of you all. I was told, talking about water problems, I was told if you want anything done, you need a petition and you need to present it. I got the petition and I presented it last year. Unit 5 is also known for its water problem. I've seen drainage going in over to recreation. I've seen a lot of money going into this place, which is fine. I like to live in a nice place. But Unit 5 has a lot of people in it, and that's a lot of assessment taxes that we're paying for that privilege of having drainage. I don't see anything down here, and I was told that nothing was going to be done, but they had it on the docket for 2016. Well, it's 2016. I haven't heard one word about the poor people that live on Unit 5 and the drainage that we've dealt with for years, not just since the last storm or two, for years, because Sun and Lakes has not cleaned the ditches one time in years. So we do have a standing water problem. This is very beyond disappointing. And I'm going to tell you now, if something isn't done, I personally will go to all the people in Unit 5, and we're going to go to the paper, and I'm going to make such a stink because I want something done that was told to me that was going to be done.
This project will be put out for bid in 2 months.
Where do I see it anywhere?
It's only for the first 4 streets. Ma'am, this is a 2005 My general manager's report covers the projects for 2015. The drainage project for Unit 5 is for 2016, as you stated, and it will be put out for bid in several months. We've already contacted the homeowners that need driveway replacements. There's 7 on the first 4 streets of Unit 5. Okay, that's where we're going to start the project. So what street did you live on?
Cantoria.
Okay, yes, so Cantoria is one of the streets that will be performing ditch cleaning and culvert cleaning.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Very good. I won't go on then.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Deborah Buckingham, and I live on Torrega Street. The concern with water, as Steve has already shared, it's appalling. I have pictures here, and if I was to pass these pictures around for everybody to see, I don't think any of you would put up with the type of water problem that we have currently on our street. And it's not just our house, it's on both sides. And I did send a letter back in August or May of last year. Did receive a response. Basically, it's our problem. Well, we just can't continue. We can't get to the mailbox. We can't even get across without either taking a bike or our golf cart or a car to even get the mail on a daily basis. We had the bad storm last Friday. We still have frank water that's in our driveway. And we've got another storm predicted today. We can only expect that the rain's going to be even worse. So I need to know what do we need to do as members of Sun and Lake. We pay taxes. We're good, law-abiding citizens like everybody else in this room. What are we going to do? What can we do about this horrific water problem of standing water? It's also an issue with mosquitoes and what have you. I mean, it's awful. And I can show pictures. I'd be glad to send these pictures around for all of you to see, so you know exactly what we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I need to have some answers. What's going to happen? What can we do?
What can you as a resident do? Well, the first thing that I did when I took over general manager, we drove to Torrega Street, and the first thing that we recognized on that street is that the sock pipe underneath the driveways is clogged. And we recognized where it was clogged. And I feel the first thing that we need to do for that street is to remove that sock pipe and get some water moving, because what's happening is that it moves in certain areas and then it stops and it's not draining. So we feel that the sock pipe needs to be removed and it needs to be replaced so that it can assist in that drainage on that street. So I did recognize that, and my engineer was with me, and I'm going to present a project to our Board of Supervisors to have something in our budget for that.
So do we have a timeline when this is going to be, when you're going to present this, so we have some idea as to what we're looking at?
I plan on presenting it during the budget process in June.
Okay.
Yes. Torrega Street. Miranda Homes, Unit 4.
Can I submit?
I've seen. If you want to, if anybody in the audience would like to view them, absolutely.
If you'd like to see the pictures, I'd be glad to send them around so everybody knows exactly what we're dealing with. It's terrible. It's just awful. We have the person that comes to mow the lawn, and he sinks up to here, just trying to get to mow the lawn. It shouldn't be like that. There's a drainage problem. I think with the response that I received from the engineer, that the pipes are clogged. Well, we need those. They need to either be dug up,
right? I agree.
New ones put in or something to take care of the
Unfortunately, the development was built on a cutthroat seep, and if you Google what that means, it'll tell you exactly that. There is no easy solution for the community of Miranda Homes.
When we purchased the home, it was at that time, it was during a dry season, and we had no inclination that there were going to be any problems with drainage. Well, lo and behold, since last year and even to this year, it's bad.
Rusty Carino. This is, what can I say, shoddy work over in Miranda. My concern, these people have some very serious issues. The lady bought her property in the dry season. My concern is it seems like there's no building permits, or our hands are tied, and I think our hands should get involved as far as the issuing building permits and so forth to put the drainage in there to make sure the houses are raised to a certain level so that they don't have this kind of problem that the builder, before they build any projects in this county, because it's all going to fall back on us. And when this was taking place, coming from South Florida and knowing about muckage, that whole damn thing should have been demucked and built up, and it wasn't. And these people here bought these homes, paid good money in good faith, and nothing was done to protect them. All we were busy, the board at that time, was concerned about selling this land to Miranda. And Miranda, if you follow their history, has some real big issues in Orlando. I can state some cases for you. But we need to protect us and the residents in here to keep shoddy builders from coming in here and throwing a slab down and thinking it's all right when they've got to take a look at the raising of the level, the drainage, and everything is taken care of in order for them to build an area. And plus the question comes, do they have a right to build in a low-lying area like that? That's another question which I think people turned their backs on when Miranda was building homes. But I was curious when you said things are being done. I'd like to know specifically. It won't help these people right behind me, but to protect citizens in the future and our community from having to shell out these additional dollars, I think we should get involved in having a say-so of the buildings, the type of buildings, the drainages. Is the drainage there so that we can take care of the situation that we don't have this problem? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. I guess the bottom line is there any way of advancing this rather than waiting until the budget process in June? And I think that's what you're looking for, is you'd like an answer that not wait another 4 or 5 months before it begins to get considered.
I can, Chairman, I mean, I can discuss that with the Board of Supervisors, but typically what we do for new projects, we bring it to the board as part of the budget process. But they can absolutely bring up a project at any point during the year.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Monica Honeymar, and I also live on Torrega Street, and I have spoken to all of our neighbors up and down the street. We're not sure what to do in terms of a petition process to get this issue addressed with the flooding. We have walking catfish going through our property, through our lawn. I mean, we have children. We have young children. I know many people have moved in that have young children on our street, and our children can't even get their bicycles. We can't get their bicycles out of the garage to go down into the street to play. I mean, we're going through fish and tadpoles. We kill tadpoles driving through every day with our cars. We have frogs everywhere. And when we first moved in 4 years ago, we were told by one of the Sun and Lake guys that were driving around in a car, in one of the trucks, he said, don't even bother fixing it or hiring a different contractor. We are going to take care of this problem. It's going to be a 3-step process. We're going to put in a retention pond and then a pump and something else to make sure it was drained. So we have just been waiting for this to happen. It has not happened. And I would like to know the petition process, if that's where we need to start with this to get this addressed. So what is a petition process with Sun and Lakes? And also, I have a question, how much property is Sun and Lakes before it becomes our property? I believe there's like a 7-foot easement, and that's exactly where the problem lies. So does anybody know that?
It's a 7.5-foot easement. Is that your question?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm wondering in terms of our property, where does Sun and Lake property? I know you guys own, well, Sun and Lake owns about 7 feet into our property. That's what we were told when we purchased the home. And that's why it was going to be addressed, because it's Sun and Lake's property.
7.5 feet on each side of your property, that's your easement.
Okay.
Okay, but from the center of the road to, I think it's 15 feet, 25 maybe? I don't know.
I don't know the statistics. I would like to know the number. We would all like to know that, because we're wondering, is it our property or is it Sun and Lake's property that the flooding issue is?
It's Sun and Lake. We're aware.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So then, can we please have that addressed? Should we start a petition? All my neighbors are ready to sign, no problem. We just don't know how to go about.
Well, the retention pond that you spoke of was a Phase 1 project. The pump that you mentioned is part of the Phase 2, which will be completed by July of 2016. So we already have a contract with a contractor to do that work. That will assist some in the drainage. It does not fix your problem. The developer should have never built those homes where they did. I mean, we all know what the issue is, and it was left in Sun and Lake's lap to fix. I don't even think that Miranda Homes is even in business anymore as a developer.
Okay.
So, like you said, like Rusty said, there's been multiple problems. So, we are going to address when I mentioned the sock pipe and the drainage, we're going to talk about that during the budget process.
Okay, and I believe the blockage is on their property, where they get a geyser every time also. On the property between ours and theirs, there's just a pipe that flows.
What's your address?
It's at 4642 Torrega Street,
Mm-hmm.
and then right next to it.
I'm aware of the issues right there. Yes, ma'am.
Blast of water coming out. We called numerous times, and the guys come out and said, "Oh yeah, he just sticks a pipe in there," and then. So, okay, but we just want to know if it's being addressed. Is there a step we need to take to get the landowners up and down our street to...
You're welcome to petition if you'd like. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how many signatures does Sun and Lake require, or is there just the amount of people on the street?
66% of the residents in that community.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, my name's Russ Buckingham. I live in Terrygrove as well. And
Speak into the microphone. We can't hear you.
I just wanted to make one comment. Last Saturday, I watched a neighbor across the street. The problem's on both sides of the street, not just on where we live. I watched the neighbors, their kids, have to take their shoes off their feet to get out of their car to get to the house. So they're walking in the house with wet feet. I mean, that's not right. That's something needs to be done fairly soon. I just wanted to thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Costy, resident. This issue has been discussed at least the last 4 landowner meetings and at several Board of Supervisors meetings as well. The district founding documents include a initial public offering which is on file with the state of Florida and with the federal government, and a copy of it is also noted as being available at the district office. And that initial founding document from back in the 70s indicates that particular area, buyers in that particular area are advised to do their due diligence, because it was known from day one by the original developers here that was a low area and that there could be water and drainage problems. It was decided when NRPI bought that property, they're the ones that sold it to Miranda. Sun and Lake did not sell that property to Miranda. It was purchased by Miranda from NRPI. Miranda was historically a builder, a preferred builder for the National Recreational Properties Organization out of California that came in here and bought all the empty lots. They chose not to follow the directions or the initial designs by the district engineer for the drainage in that area. And the district engineer was not hired to supervise or approve anything that happened there. It was all under the control of Miranda and NRPI. So I understand why these folks are upset with Sun and Lake, because here we are. I mean, it's got to be fixed, and it's been discussed ad infinitum. The other issue that comes to light here is the fact that for some reason there doesn't seem to be a close connection for building permits between Sun and Lake and the county. The county is the one that issues building permits. Sun and Lake issues driveway permits. However, in Sunnens Lake's documentation, it indicates that before a driveway connection permit would be issued, complete sets of plans and specifications for a new building have to be submitted to the district for approval. That's in our documents. However, it's been said by several at the board meetings over the last couple of years that Sunnens Lake doesn't see those plans and specifications, and we have no requirement. But it is in our documentation that that's supposed to happen. When the county comes out and inspects after permits are issued, they don't inspect for quality. They don't inspect for satisfaction of the design requirements. They simply inspect for the requirements that the county has, which are simply setbacks and does it meet electrical code and things of that nature. So I'm just suggesting that somehow the relationship between Highlands County, between Sunnens Lake and Highlands County be examined and looked into, and that we try to create some kind of a better communications line between Sunnens Lake and our requirements and desires and the county with regard to this permitting process. Thank you.
Gene Gangemi, resident. You know, I became this problem about 7 years ago when there was a lady that worked at the Highlands Today newspaper, lived in the Miranda Homes. And it just boggles my mind. I took a ride down there, and it was water, just like it was in the pictures there. So this has been going on for a number of years. But what really gets me is that the county has some knowledge. I suspect they had some knowledge that there was a problem building in that area, but still they generated the permits. Now, I feel for these people because Miranda Homes, to my belief as of last year, was still in business. Now, it may not be in Florida, but they're still in business. Whether you can go back and try to get some money back from them, you're going to have some deep pockets because they'll just dance around the issues. But the problem is that the county really has an obligation that they signed off on that. And we have Mr. Hanley, who is one of the county commissioners down there. I'd like to have him speak on some of these issues and why it falls on the homeowner to try to, they're novices. They do not have expert knowledge of building codes or drainage or if it's what type of soil it is. They look at the house and they say, that's great. The county comes up and says, yep, you're all set to go. And they're supposed to come to the district, and the district is supposed to say, yeah, that looks good. But if it's a known fact that the county would never build on that property, why are these people in jeopardy? Why do they have to pay for that? And as far as saying that, you got to clean the drains, wait a minute. I bought the house. I know nothing about drains. That's supposed to be all approved. When you buy a car, you didn't go and say, gee, I want to check everything out. You have people who have expert knowledge that design and build these things to do it. So I think these people have a legitimate claim against the county for approving the area and having the county pick up the tab for cleaning this. Because this has been going on for 7 years. Do you know what their property values have gone down since they bought that house? Well, I'd like to hear some response from the county. Thank you.
I was going to make some announcements, but I don't believe I should because there are so many other things that have more important points. However, Sun and Lake of Sebring Improvement District, probably their greatest responsibility at this time is roads and drainage. You can't build a house without roads and drainage. And let's assume that all of the roads and the drainage systems in this subdivision was approved or designed by engineers. Our big problem, and it's not just a problem of the folks in Unit 5 or Unit
16 or whatever it is, 15 up at Ronsko Homes. We have drainage problems all over. And most of those are maintenance. Over the years, the district has failed the people in here insofar as the maintenance of the roads and the ditches, especially the ditches for drainage. Now, you can put in the best drainage system in the world, but unless you maintain it, it's not worth anything. And that's our problem now, is to get busy and come up with a program to review the drainage system in the district and do something about it. It's everybody's responsibility, not just the people in Unit 5. The district agreed with the county, as I remember, that they would take on the responsibility of the maintenance and upkeep of the roads and the drainage system in this district. And that's what the county expects us to do. So to go to the county for them to spend a bunch of money or to lean on, they'll help us whatever they can do, but the responsibility in all of the papers that I've seen is that the district has the responsibility for the maintenance and upkeep of the roads and drainage system. So this problem didn't come up overnight, as some of you folks have just witnessed. It's been going on for years. So now, and the landowners, and I appreciate the fact that I wish we had this many people come to the Board of Supervisors meetings twice a month. But I'm sure that the Board of Supervisors, all of them are here this morning, and that they will go back, and they are the group to lead the program and instruct management what they want to do. Management is capable, and they're doing good, but they are limited. But the Board of Supervisors is the body that can move this thing forward. Let's get something done. It's all over the district. The drainage system is not just limited to any one part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seems to me that the district has acknowledged they have a responsibility for this, and it's just a matter of getting it started, and the sooner the better. And I'm sure everybody's got that message this morning. Is there any unfinished business? Hearing none. New business? I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Rex just said it's really nice to see a lot of people here. We used to have a lot come out to our board meetings, and we hope that the openness of the meeting and allowing everybody to have their say and ask their questions goes a long way to improving attendance in the future. I have a motion to adjourn, please. Rick Halbert, second. Bill Jackson, all in favor. Motion's adjourned. The meeting's adjourned, I guess. Don't ask a question from the back of the room. You know I can't see.
Well, I wasn't going to come up with a call.
What?
You got more than you bargained for this morning. Thanks. Yep.
Hey, right? Well, I guess we've never met. Thank you.
Right here.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Now you can get sworn up.
Yeah.
Hi, Gary.
Getting a minute to quiet down. You know, it's that Miranda situation is very. We have agonized over that. 4 years ago, we had the same pictures of the flooding. We went in and did an estimate, and what was it? It was horrendous price to pay. Yeah. So. Stuff in the ground. Very calmly came to this meeting and said, do not allow any buildings because it's a muck. Well, you can think a couple of irresponsible developers. National Recreation Properties, they didn't give a damn. What they did, they bought 6,000 lots for $6 million.
Quick buck and get the heck out of here.
Well, they skimmed the cream and they got out. Miranda was sold about 260 lots. They developed that Miranda project, and they walked away with leaving 220 lots. You know, just trash lots, and that's what they've done. All right, we're going to have to reconvene. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
We're going to reconvene the board meeting. We're waiting on Tanya. Tanya, the one thing I didn't get from your report, what's the time frame for the new signage on US 27? We have 2 large signs coming.
Don Bell Sign Company was here on Tuesday, January 12th, to install the sign at the clubhouse. Due to the high water table, they were unable to set the footers, and so they had to submit changes to their permit to Highlands County. As of yesterday, Highlands County has not approved their permit change for the footers, and I was told that once they give their authorization by email, they're ready to go. But as of yet, Highlands County had their computers down for 2 days, they said, and so as of yesterday, they have not allowed Don Bell to move forward with that permit change.
When that happened?
I don't have any confirmed dates.
Okay, but we're inside of a month on this now?
I'm sorry?
Are we inside of a month for
Yes,
the installation? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, move on to our action agenda. And the first item is election of officers to the board. And first item is election of president of the Board of Supervisors.
I'll make a motion to elect Dick Miller, president of the board.
I will second that.
Any other nominations? Okay, nominations are closed. Allison, call the roll, please.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Hulbert?
Yes.
Supervisor Halbig?
Yes.
Supervisor White?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
I'm good. I appreciate your confidence, gentlemen, and I hope we have a good year. We've had less than a calm year this last year, so let's hopefully move ahead on a positive basis if we can. And I agree with Mr. Bond, drainage is at the forefront, so we will address that issue. Okay, we move on to nominations for vice president for the board.
I nominate Larry White.
Second.
Do we have other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Dave Holbert.
Well, I decline because my term runs out if I'm still here a year from this coming January, so I wouldn't be able to carry over to the next phase of it. Thank you very much anyway.
I don't have a problem with vice president. I'm not sure I'm capable of taking over the presidency.
Well, you're going to have that role. Okay. I take it no other nominations. Allison?
Supervisor Hobart?
Yes.
Supervisor Halbig?
Yes.
Supervisor White?
I guess. Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes. Okay, now we move to treasurer, and we're in a situation here that we normally elect our chief financial officer, but we are in the process of reviewing or interviewing candidates for that position. And I think that, Tanya, you are going to assume the interim duties
Correct, yes.
As treasurer.
Yes, sir.
So I would say that's simply a consensus.
Yes.
Okay. And we also have the same situation for secretary. However, Tanya informs me that we have interviewed a candidate, her candidate, and that candidate has accepted. And I would say that then, what is her name?
Christian Hardman.
Hardman. And she comes when?
February 1st.
Well, that's quick. So I would think that the board would want to
We'll
nominate her and vote for her for secretary of the board because Allison is moving on to other duties. David, any problem with that?
No, that could work, as Allison will just be the interim until Hardman takes her position.
Okay, I assume also that's by consensus of the board, is that correct?
True.
Okay, all right, we're done with that. All right, next item is resolution number 2016-01-2206, resolution of the Sun and Lake of Sebring District Improvement District to approve the initiation of the 2016 Sun and Lake Homeowner Buyer Membership Program. Jim Kurtzborn, are you here? Do you want to speak to that? I need a motion while he's coming up, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay.
Jim Kurtzborn, General Manager, Sun and Lake Golf Club, Billy Casper Golf. I'd like the board to approve our request for the free one-year membership with the purchase of a house or condo in Sun and Lake. It's one of our major marketing initiatives to attract people to Sun and Lake and make Sun and Lake the preferred place to live in Sebring. And really, without further ado, we'd just like to have your approval.
Well, let me ask you, in the form, I'm not sure that we have a handle on the dates, because you're saying that the date of membership starts when that person, buys that house, closes on that house, or moves into that house? How does that work?
The date of membership starts when they turn on their water.
Okay. And then you're going to monitor 1 year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I've got a question. The application says family membership. There's a disparity between a family trail fee and a single trail fee, is there not?
Yes.
Then maybe the application should say family or single in case there is a single member and not a family member, because you have to pay your trail fee.
That's correct.
If in the case of a couple who's only one golfer,
This means he has to buy a trail fee, family trail fee, it says in the application. But if the application would say either a family member or a single member, then he would only have to pay, or she would only have to pay a trail fee for a single rather than a family.
We can update that. That's a good suggestion.
I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts about that. Also this, and I think we missed it on this 5-month membership, the member, if they have a member-owned cart, there need to be proof of insurance and sign the liability disclaimer. That should be part of the application process. I think we're kind of missing that on the seasonal membership.
Mr. Halbeck, they'll still be required to fill out an application for membership. Is that correct? And that's where you would provide all that information. So in addition to this application, they'll be required to submit the application for membership.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that's, and we'll get to that later, I don't think that's been happening on the seasonal memberships per se. We'll talk about that later.
That's another subject. Okay, any other comments from the board? Mike?
Nope.
Okay. He'll talk sometime, trust me. Any comments from the public on this? Come to the podium, please.
My name's Martin Winslow, Matanza Drive. I would just like to question the fact that you're giving up, in the case of a family membership, $4,200. I was wondering if wouldn't it be better to provide the owner with 20 rounds of golf and the real estate company give them another 20 rounds of golf instead of giving up $4,200?
Well, we analyzed this quite a bit. It's been under discussion for quite some time, Marty. And basically, this is a marketing tool, as you well know. And what we're trying to do is get newcomers immersed into our golf membership program. And they would have a full access to the MGA and the tournaments and so forth. So we felt that 1 year would be appropriate. And from our standpoint, it's hopefully will be a good investment. We'll have to see.
Another question I have with regard, if it's okay, with regard to the 5-year or the 5-month membership.
Can we hold on to that? We're going to have discussion on that.
Not only that, this marketing program is not only to get golfers in here, it's also to get people to move into Sun and Lakes to buy a home. So it's an incentive for our real estate people to say, hey, we can get you buy a home here, we can get you a whole year full of golf for free.
To me, that should be up to the real estate company.
They're
the ones in the
so
market to sell.
it's kind of an area where we can help both.
Yeah, I realize that, but I'm just.
And it's
saying
money.
That
After a year, it's money in our pocket too.
What's that?
It's money in the district's pocket as well.
We'd have money in the district's pocket irregardless, but I feel it should be under the real estate people because they're the ones selling the house.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Marty, there is a requirement for purchasing a trail fee. You don't get this unless you purchase a trail fee. The $4,200 is not a good number because
I'm just saying
it's a free membership. It does not include the trail fee. There is a requirement for purchasing a trail fee if you take this program.
Well, I just gave it. I know that we're paying roughly around $4,200.
But that includes your trail fee.
Yeah.
Well, they have to buy the trail fee.
Trail fee is what? $15.
How much is the trail fee?
Roughly $1,000.
Okay, so
I'm just suggesting that instead of losing that amount of money, just give credits on the rounds of golf.
Well, we consider that an investment, and
So can I question something else about
Sure. You'll have that opportunity. No, not now. Okay. Any other comments from the public? Bring it back to the board. One question, Jim. Do we have any kind of time frame for testing this thing? I know we're going to do at least a year or so. Do you have any feeling for how long you feel this should go?
Well, I think we want to see the success of it. We will be getting feedback from the realtors. That's the real key, is does this motivate the buyers to look at Sun and Lake first?
Well, I assume that will be your responsibility to monitor that. And we're talking not a calendar year, and that's what I guess was a little confusing in the, the application. Is it from the time that the water's turned on? Is that clear in the application?
Correct. Yes. The program is for the calendar year of 2016, and the membership is for 1 year from the date that the water's turned on. So technically, these memberships will extend into 2017.
Okay, and we will be revisiting that then later on this year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And one of the things that this will do is in all of our marketing, I believe, I'm not an advertising specialist, but you're always trying to get the hook to get the person to really look at your ad. And so just now in all of our marketing, tentatively, one of our bylines is free membership with the purchase of a home or condo. So that gets people's attention to look at your ad and to explore that. So we'll get into later, I believe, with our marketing reports, the things that are happening to get people to look at Sun and Lake. Well, and this just makes them a lot more seriously look at it with that caveat that they get to try the golf experience without a cost the first year.
Well, the Hornick Golf Villa project is going to be a very interesting case study, and we'll see how that works out. Yeah. We have one other comment before we come back.
My name is Joe Reedy. I live on Matanza.
In the microphone again, please.
Okay. My name is Joe Reedy. I live on Matanza. I'd like to have it clarified, is this for a person that has not been here before?
Correct.
That wasn't said, because, say myself, if I bought a different house, am I going to get it?
No.
Well,
no.
You're not stating that.
It is in the application, I believe.
Well, we didn't hear the application.
I'm sorry. That was our mistake.
Okay. And it's for a condo or a house, doesn't matter the value?
New purchase, and it could be a new purchase of a new person buying an existing condo, right? Yes, sir. Or a new house.
A resident that's here now that doesn't own something and buy one?
No.
Is that in there?
No. This is strictly for newcomers.
Yeah. Okay. None of that has been stated.
Well, Joe, it's in the resolution itself. It states anyone who has not previously been a golf club member of Sun and Lake, or who builds or buys a new home or buys a resale home inside the district. Okay.
Doesn't really clear it up, but it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Gene Gange, I'm a resident. In the resolution, it says anyone who has not previously been a golf club member or a Sun and Lake homeowner. How come it didn't say previously been a Sun and Lake golf club member? Doesn't say that in the resolution. It says a golf club member.
That's the only golf club we have here is Sun and Lake.
That isn't the point. The point is, when you say a golf club member, that's anywhere. So if somebody comes in from the place up on the hill and says, I want to join, you're prohibiting him from doing that because it says a golf club member.
Well, we're splitting hairs, but you're right. You made a point.
It should
say.
We can add that.
I said you made a good point.
Oh, okay.
I said you're splitting hairs, but you made a good point.
Okay, just
so we'll have to amend
come up and say, wait a minute, you're excluding all.
Gene, we can add that to the resolution. David,
Great.
Is that correct?
And same thing on the application as well.
after A, we'd have to insert Sun and Lake.
We can do that. I don't believe it's technically necessary, but we can do that.
Okay, the application is, you say, is the same?
Same thing.
Jim, you look at that, make any correction? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Gene.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Okay, David?
Wait a minute.
Boy, you're late, Pat.
I only have one question. Pat Holmes, resident. I have a person that, hypothetical. He's here for 3 months, first time down here, and he's trying out Sun and Lake and see if he likes it. Now, what happens with that party? He got the 3-month membership this time, and he buys let's say a house or a condo. Now, is it retroactive? Can he get the free membership?
You had to come up, didn't you?
Hypothetical.
That's the point. That's the point. David?
He's got a membership. He's not eligible for this program.
The document states that previous members are not eligible for the program.
Okay.
So it's to attract new people to the development that are unaware of the amenities.
Okay, he's out of luck, Pat. David, do we pass this resolution as amended, or do we have to make an amendment?
No, we can pass it. We can, because we'll call it a Scrivener's error for not including the Sun and Lake before a golf club, because that was obviously the intention with it. We weren't worried about other people's golf clubs, so it'll just be considered a Scrivener's error, and we'll make that amendment.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Do we really want to, if somebody comes down here and rents for 3 months and buys a package to play golf and then decides that they want to buy a home down here, do we want to exclude them from this program?
Only excluded if they were a member. Irregardless of whether they were a 1-month member, a 3-month member, a 5-month member, or a full member.
That's the way it's set up. That's the way it's set up. And Jim, I would remind you that when this resolution is passed, we expect all Billy Casper personnel to adhere to this, the terms of the resolution. And I'm going to speak to that later on. Okay, so we have a motion. We have any final board comments? And we will pass or vote on that as you indicated, David. Is that correct?
Yeah, the Scrivener's error will be.
Allison, you call the roll, please.
Supervisor White?
Yes.
Supervisor Gilpin?
Yes.
Supervisor Hulbert?
Yes.
Supervisor Haubig?
Yes.
President Miller?
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to the 5-month golf membership. And Marty, when it's appropriate, you'll have a chance to say your piece. Okay, it's a discussion and not a resolution, but we will have full public discussion on this. So, comments from the board, David?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Let me start the thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Larry. It's your.
Let me start
thing.
this thing.
It's your thing.
As most of you know, give you a little background on this. We had it set up that a 5-month membership started in December and went for 5 consecutive months. A 3-month membership started in January and went for 3 consecutive months. Much to the board's amazement, I guess is a good word for it, we found that a lot of the 5-month memberships, they were varying the dates. The dates were flexible when they started. You can't blame Jim for this, because you can blame Jim for a little of it, I guess, but not for a lot of it, because it was started over a year ago. And all he come into his position late this year, and all he did was continue what was happening in the past. With that said, there is 41 memberships that are 5-month memberships. They vary by date when they start. And I got to find my note because I've lost it. No, that other sheet. Yeah, the one I wrote. Give me a second here to find it. Anyway, there was 41 5-month memberships. I think there was 15 memberships that are 3 months. They vary in dates when they start. Part of them was started in November. Part of them was started in December. One of them was started in January in the 5 month. Not only did they vary from the first of the month, they varied throughout the month. And so they ran 5 months continuously or 3 months continuously. To begin with, I thought this was probably a bad idea. But the more I look at this and the more that I've talked to people, I think this is the way that we need to go, and it's the way I would recommend going. And I recommend it for one reason. The economy has changed since the first of the year. A lot of us live off of 401k. Your 401k now is a 360 or a 350, someplace in that area. The Canadians, which amounts to between 20 and 25% of our membership, are experiencing 57, 58 cents on every dollar that they come down here and convert over to American currency. That is even expected to go much, much lower, according to some of the Canadians that I've talked to. The other thing with the Canadians, they're talking among themselves. A lot of them are hurting bad enough that they're talking of maybe even cutting their yearly stay down here to as little as 3 months. Now, our goal here is to keep as many members in some form here at Sun and Lake. Not give them the opportunity to go someplace else and play because they thought Sun and Lake was not in their budget, not capable for them. And we're finding some of the families have cut down to just one person playing instead of the family membership. As long as they keep a family membership, it's more practical for them to stay with a family membership. And our goal here is to keep a higher membership as what we possibly can. But I still think that in order to be fair with them and to keep as many members as we can here, we're going to have to diversify and let this be on a sliding scale. Several of them have told me if they come down for a 3-month membership, they come down the 15th of the month, they lose 15 days up front, they lose 15 days on the back. They're not going to buy a membership of any kind. They're just going to go someplace else and play. And we don't need that. And this is the same thing with the 5, because these people are hurting from the exchange rate.
Larry, one question before you start. Why did you include, is that average price per round? The
only reason I included the average price per round showed you what the figures were each month is to show you that really the amount of money coming in does not change with the 3-month membership if you go 1 month either way, and the same thing with the 5 month.
Okay. David?
Okay. Well, I've got a little bit of a different opinion. Of course, that's why we're up here. Everybody's going to have a different opinion on this thing. But at first, I'm going to get on my soapbox. This is a waste of time for this board. This is a situation that shouldn't have happened at all, but because someone or some organization circumvented the set policy, we're forced to deal with the problem now versus dealing with it when we talk about budgets. If the rules were followed, we wouldn't be having to deal with it right now at all. And if it was driven by Casper, I've lost a lot of trust in Casper. If it was driven by an individual, then at a minimum there needs to be a letter of reprimand because of it. Now, as far as the membership's concerned, I agree that we need to keep the 5-month membership. I don't think that the membership date should be flexible. I think they should be firm. I think the December starting date is a good date. And actually, Larry's numbers are off a little bit because there's actually 41 because there's some double. There's some one couple in the 5-month, and I think there's 5 in the. There's 41 5-month memberships, and there's 22, I think, or 23 in the 3-month memberships. And actually, 23 of the 41 were full-time members at one time. That's 56%. 56% of the 5-month members have defected to the full members have defected to the 5-month membership. And there's, I think, 6 out of the 22 on the 3-month memberships have defected that used to be full members. This whole thing needs to be cleaned up. I'm talking about the application, for one thing, about what we have to sign as full members and what they've had to sign for others. And I think Larry mentioned it in his thing. It's the control. There's not going to be any control unless it's fixed, and you know when they start and you know when they stop. Because is this like Howard Humphrey's letter that he sent out, where he wants to circumvent the bylaws of the MGA by allowing people to go beyond their ending date. Membership has its privileges. If you're a member, you have those privileges. If you're a non-member, you don't have the privileges. That's as simple as it gets. Based upon the data, I don't care if we started in November or December, but it ought to be fixed. And as far as the 3-month membership, every one of them, save one that bought a single membership, started in January. If you look at the complete list of 3-month memberships, every one of them started in January, except one who bought a single membership in November and then bought a 3-month membership in January, I suppose. So, as long as those 3 months, maybe we ought to fix the 3-month too, so we know. And there ought to be a different colored sticker if they use their own golf cart, because everybody that owns their own golf cart right now has got a sticker that says it's good until the end of April, and a lot of those memberships are over by the end of March. So. I think we're going to, if you make it more flexible, you're going to lose more members. I know a couple, probably it's going to be mostly the Canadians that go to the single. It's $400 cheaper. It's $400 cheaper to buy 2 single memberships than it is a family membership. And oh, by the way, both of them get a cart. So whoever owns a cart, they can sell that cart and the lady would get a cart, and the man would get a cart for the single memberships. So it's pretty, if you look at the numbers, it's pretty appealing for everybody that's a full member that comes 5 or 6 months to defect. And so I think we're going to lose full memberships if we make it more flexible than what it really is. But whatever we do, we have to stick to the rules. That's just follow the rules, and we wouldn't have been sitting here today trying to figure out what to do about fixing the problem.
Let me ask a question, because I'm affected by this, because I'm out on the medical, and I'm trying to work my way back. But my wife has taken a 5-month membership. Am I allowed, if I come back, let me be optimistic, when I come back, am I allowed to take an individual 5-month membership? Or if I come back, doesn't that revert to family membership?
Is the question relative to the medical leave exemption in our...
No, just, I mean, the idea of you have a household and you have people that have had a family membership, and then the wife takes out a single membership and the husband takes out a single membership. Is that allowed?
Yes, we do have that instance. We do have, that has happened one time, yes, where we have a husband and wife.
Okay.
There isn't an exclusion to that.
Well, let me echo Mr. Hall. I don't agree with his conclusion, but let me echo his comments on control, and I would say accountability. I am very concerned that Billy Casper has just sort of gone its own way, and as Larry says, you've inherited this thing, but your staff has been here, and they have made these decisions without any consideration of the resolution that was passed by the board. Now, who on your staff makes membership decisions?
Myself.
No. You've had decisions made by, I believe, is it Megan?
No, all this was done with my consultation, and it was done based on how it had been done previously. So I think, to me, it's very valid that Casper overstepped its bounds, didn't come back to the board to modify the resolution, and because of that, we're in a difficulty because we deviated from what was in print.
But I want to know, when I walk into that office to talk about membership, and I haven't talked to you. I think I've talked to Jamie or Megan. Now, are those people on your staff the ones that that a newcomer or anybody would come to for a membership question?
Oh, yes, but they have no authority to change the document.
Well, they've done it.
No, they haven't. They did it under my direction. I was asked.
Okay.
Do we take a membership in November? And showing up September 15th, my question was, did we take one last year? And the answer was yes. And I said, basically
we didn't have this mess last year. Jim, I would simply say...
You didn't have the mess last year because you didn't know about it. When you have something that happens and not everyone knows about it, it doesn't become a mess until everyone knows about it.
What does that tell you about communication between Billy Casper, the general manager, and the board?
Something I already knew. There's full disclosure, but unfortunately I inherited a situation where that wasn't the case.
Well, let me just say that whatever this board decides, and eventually will pass a resolution, if there's any deviation from the context of that resolution, there will be consequences. Because as Mr. Halbeck said, we shouldn't even be talking about this. We shouldn't be in this mess. We're taking a lot of time to do it. Am I very clear on that? Am I very clear?
Not only are you clear, but I would personally like to thank you for that statement, because I don't want to have deviation. That's not the way I manage. It's not in my interest to have a sliding scale. I love black and white, so I'm very happy that this has come forward. I was unaware when it first happened that it was something that was, not acceptable and not known, but I enjoy having, things in black and white. My goal actually is to have all of our processes and policies on the website by this summer so that everyone can see exactly how we operate the club, and when a member has a question, for my staff just to be able to bring up our policies and to be able to review it, and then everyone would be on the same page.
Well, I would simply point out that this is not just with this particular resolution, but all the terms of the contract that the district has with Billy Casper, because we had an incident earlier. And please keep in mind that Tanya Kennedy is our point of contact. As our manager, it's her responsibility and authority to review the terms of the contract. And when I talk about this, I talk about the two people that were transferred in violation of the terms of our contract. Now, we've enjoyed Billy Casper. You've done a terrific job, but we've got to get over this hump.
I understand, and I can guarantee going forward we will apply to the letter.
Okay. Other board comments? Do we have?
For the record, on one issue that you just discussed, it did happen last year, but not to the degree it happened this year. And in Jim's defense, I'm sorry that you're having to stand there with a heat lamp on you, but, you know, the buck stops there.
That's why he gets a big buck.
I had this conversation with David Ford last year, and he's a pretty honest guy. He'll probably verify it. He assured me that it would not happen again. And when I checked early, when you first came here, when I checked, you assured me that it was done just in a couple cases, but once we got the data, we found out it was widespread. So anyway, for the record, I just thought I'd mention that.
Okay, do we have other board comments?
Jim, I also agree that we probably should have a flexible program, but I know a few people out here that I've talked to, and I thought it was very unfair that some people got it, and I'm sure you do too. Some people got the deal and some didn't, and I would be very upset if that happened again, because we should treat everybody the same. So, and I know you agree, so I'm not lecturing you, but that's all I have.
Okay. Comments from the audience. I know, Marty, you had a comment. You got beat to the podium.
Diane Reedy, live on Matanza as a resident. Joe and I have been here since 2002 as full members. The Canadian dollar was 57 cents at the time when we bought. Now, I personally am proud to be a Canadian, but I don't think that policy should be put in place when only 20 to 25% of the residents here are Canadian and 75% are American. Number one. Number two, you're not looking at how many people. I'm all for the flexible package, trust me, because it's to my benefit. I was one that was not offered to and heard all the stuff and went back, sent the letter to the board. I'm one of them. Joe and I are leaving on April the 14th, so it's to our advantage. You play games, I'm in. I don't have to pay insurance for my golf cart. Both of us get a cart, so I never have to worry about juggling carts or anything else. Who's going to monitor what groups I play in? And if mine ends on the 14th of April, congratulations, because I might be already signed up for the WGA. That happens maybe to fall on a Wednesday. There is no way that you are going to be able to control this with what is offered. I was very upset that it did not get offered. The package that I received in the mail said December to April. With everything else that went on, it was revised. I called Jim. He said he would cancel mine. At that point, it was already the middle of November. Joe and I already played golf enough times from the 1st to the 14th when I would have wanted it to end, that I just didn't want to be frustrated. But you're going to have to look at it before you make these decisions. How many people are full-time members now that are going to give it up? And forget the Canadians. What about the Americans that are only here for 6 months? They can come in October, and golf is dirt cheap. Okay, that you can play pretty cheap to play in Sun and Lake in October. So I'm all for it. I think it's a wonderful thing you guys are going to do, because Joe and I are probably going to save the difference in the $400, the difference in the insurance we don't have to pay. We're going to use your cart. We're going to do all of those things at Casper's expense and not at ours. Thank you.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is.
Marty?
I'm on the same page as Mrs. Reedy. Your memberships are off balance. You're giving a full member has to get a golf cart. If the golf cart breaks down, he's charged $5 to rent a cart. A 5-month member and a 3-month membership get a free golf cart. No expense to them. Now, the full member is giving you more money, more funds. If you can't give a golf cart to a person that the golf cart is broken down, there's something the matter. Your membership is way off base, and if you want to run a 5-month membership, they shouldn't be given a golf cart, and they should be charged a seat fee. When they charge a seat fee, whatever it happens to be, $10, $15 a seat, that's in your favor, because then they start adding up how much they're going to play, how much they're going to do. Well, I guess we might as well get a full year membership. So, that, as far as I am concerned, your membership base is off kilter. I don't know who sets the rate. I stood up here 3 years ago at a meeting, and I suggested that the board, who on the board watches Casper? Who's the person designated to watch what goes on with Casper? No, everybody looked around and said, we don't need it. Fine, that's fine. Now you're in that predicament because of the fact.
No, the board, now let me correct you on that. It's the board's responsibility to provide guidance to all of our contracts, and that includes Casper. We don't have a designated person on that board.
I suggested that there was maybe one appointed from the board to be.
Well, it's
to have your checks and
the
balances.
situation is such that each board member has an opportunity to interact with Casper.
And another point as far as the membership goes, I suggest to you that for accounting purposes that you go on the 1st and the 15th of the month and not go 17, 13, 12, and 11. Anybody that comes down here from up north, they come for the 1st of the month or they come for the middle of the month, and they always start the trip the previous days, so that they are here on the 1st or they are here on the 15th. So you don't need to go 12, 13, just for easier accounting purposes. And another thing, because of our Canadian dollar, could you make any consideration with regard to an international fee? And it's not 57 or 58 cents on the dollar, excuse me.
Have you been watching our stock market? Have you been watching our stock market lately? Okay. Jim, let me clarify another point. I don't understand. Are we allowing two spouses to separately sign up for 3 months or 5 months?
Yes, sir.
I thought that was a no-no. I thought that we were offering 5 months memberships for singles or one member of the household, and if it was a household thing, full membership. So we're way off kilter here. We're just way off kilter.
We had that discussion, Dick, and it was understood that a couple can buy an individual membership. We didn't think a couple $100 would make that much difference. But
more than that.
We've had that discussion.
Well, listen, I got to say that this thing is just an unholy mess, and we need to sit down.
What can we do? Can we get a recommendation back from you, or take a poll here to see what we? As far as I'm concerned, I'd like to see the 5-month membership stay, but I would like to have it fixed. Starting in December or starting whenever, and the 3-month membership only starting in January, because the data shows that the 3-month membership, they're going to do it in January. Every 3-month membership we have here starts in January.
Obviously, this can be decided today, but it is not going to have an impact until after our budget meeting that looks at next year. So to me, I believe there would be a benefit to look at this in a holistic, budget process where we review basically our goals for our membership and for our revenue and for the district, and holistically address it as opposed to just looking at the 5-month membership and when it starts and stops.
Well, I disagree with Supervisor Helbig. I'm for a more flexible program because, again, it's the same thing as the homeowners, new buyers. It's a marketing thing, and if somebody comes in May, out of the blue and wants a 3-month membership, we're going to deny that. I don't buy that. So we've got an issue here.
Yeah.
We've got an issue here. Well, if we set it up and Casper is charged with implementing it, then we have accountability. We should have accountability. Is that correct?
Yes, you have accountability.
There's no question on that.
There's no question on that. One thing I would bring forward is that later we're going to look at the financials for, end of year 14, end of year 15. Casper and the district have the same goals, to promote the club, to make the club fiscally more responsible. There aren't any goals for Casper that aren't goals for the district. So, this adjustment was made inappropriately, but in the district's mind of growing membership and doing things that would be good for Sun and Lake. It's
inappropriately is the right term, so we'll deal with that.
Exactly.
Gentlemen, I'm uncomfortable with this.
Give me a minute.
Yeah, I'll give you a minute. Just let me make a point. I'm uncomfortable with a spouse having a 5-month membership and then the spouse, that person's husband or wife, walks in and gets a 5-month membership and just automatically saves. I don't know how much they save with that, but that was not the purpose.
No.
That was not the purpose. So I have that laid out. Larry, you have comments?
Well, we're talking about the 16 year is basically done. It's already too far along in it to make any changes in it. Would not be practical to do it. So we're talking about the 2017, the fall of 16 starting. The 3 months, from a money standpoint, it's more practical for somebody to buy January through March by several dollars. But I'm all for them buying it if they want to buy it in June. That's money in our pocket, and it's guaranteed money. We need to come back and look at this, the membership with the 5 months. I think we need to take this cart out and add the cart back in separately. I think he made an awful good point. I think our membership scale is out of line here. By doing that, we can possibly change the 2 5-month memberships so it's not that practical to go to save $400 on it. But this thing needs to be looked at a lot more before we make a decision on it. And we've got time.
That's a good point. The 3 month and the 1 month. Actually, do you know that you can buy 3 consecutive 1-month memberships cheaper? You can buy 1 3-month membership. I don't know who figured that one out, but $525 times 3 is less than a 3-month membership at $1,601.
Correct. Yes, I think the difference.
There was never a reference to a 3-month or a 1-month membership when we put together this 5-month thing. The only time, and you can search all of the minutes of all of the meetings and see when there was ever a discussion, the only time and first time that ever showed up was in the budget list in 2014 when we put the budget together, and it showed up on that list for a 3-month and a 1 month, and I guess, and this board can kick themselves in the rear end for not questioning it, because it already had been put into place by somebody before that, and we just took it for granted that that's the way it was going to be. So,
okay, listen here. I suggest this, that we have widespread opinion. So let's get another voice. Come on.
Dick Diott, and I'm a resident.
And Canadian.
And Canadian, and everything else. And I've been a full-time member of this golf course for 28 years. And when you introduce this 5-month membership, obviously it suited me well. And first of all, I'd like to suggest that you table this motion and not make a decision.
There is no
today.
motion, it's just discussion right now, so we're not there yet.
I think you have to gather some more information, maybe have a workshop, whatever.
Well,
anyway, my experience was that I waited until November the 4th to buy my 5-month membership, figuring it would last till April the 4th. Then I find out that no, it ends March 31st. And I can't play in the member guest because I'm not a member after, the last 2 days of the member guest are April 1st and 2nd. So I said, well, how do I get to play in the member guest? Well, give us another $2,000 and you can play those 2 days. Well, that's not going to happen. So having the flexible dates, I don't see why you can't keep track of that the way you do anything else. I've never seen anybody. I use my own golf cart. I've got a sticker on it that says till April. Nobody ever checks those. Not that I could tell anyway. They never checked mine. But, the application form, it says a 5-month membership. It doesn't say 5 calendar months. Right? So it seems to me my 5 months should run from November 4th until April the 4th.
Thanks, Dick. My suggestion is that because this is a widespread thing, that we get a representative from the golf committee, we get a representative from the MGA, we get a representative from the WGA, we include Billy Casper, and we have that group chaired by one of our supervisors. You'll have a chance, Mark. Just take it easy. And we address this issue from the standpoint of different factions. So, as Larry says, we have some time, but why not address it in that manner? And then we'll come back, and that group will present a report and suggestions to the board. Is there any problem with that?
That's great.
Okay, Mark, you're still going. Come on up. Let me just finish this. Do we have a supervisor that would like to chair that particular committee?
I'll do it if nobody else wants it.
Larry should. I think Larry should.
Okay, Larry. Keep in mind that when a supervisor is involved, David, that's a standing committee, and gentlemen, that is a sunshine committee.
So we'll have minutes.
So we'll have minutes, representation, and so forth. Mark?
Thank you. Mark Camp, resident. I just had a couple comments, and I know that you guys are going to have a workshop and probably go through this and rehash it quite a few times. It's kind of interesting. We heard from many of my Canadian friends today. Most of them are not in favor of the 5-month or the 3-month. In certain circumstances they are, but they're saying, hey, I'd rather have the full memberships for my family. But the bigger concern, and Dick just brought it up, he thinks it would be easy to manage this if it was a sliding scale, started on the 4th of November or the 5th of December. We have a number of people that play, actually all of them that I know, don't have tee times. They typically play in shotguns. And how do you manage somebody that starts on the 4th of November? It's almost impossible to do that. You need to start it on a given date, like the 1st of a given month. Dick even said, they never check my sticker on my card. He could be out there, extra days, and I'm all for these memberships, like I said, but I think there has to be some level of control. I think the other thing that's kind of important that we look at is we put these 5-month memberships together, these 3-month and the 1-month, to kind of attract people to Sun and Lakes, to increase our membership, because we have a declining membership. But what we've done is, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, I think what we've done is we've reduced our revenue. We've got a number of people. We have I think you said 47 or 41 people that have 5-month memberships. I'd like to know, out of those 41 people, how many of them had full memberships before and how many defected. Therefore, you're losing revenue. So if the idea is to increase membership, you have to look at a little different way than giving a 3-month or a 5-month or a 1-month. Not have people defect from one program to the next. Now, for the Canadians specifically, I think it's really a benefit to them. I think they should have special programs because they are limited to the amount of time they can be down here. Okay? But to go across the board and say, we're going to have a sliding scale, you can start in June or whatever time frame, it just doesn't seem to make sense, and it doesn't seem to be manageable. Thank you. Just my thoughts.
Mark, I can answer your question. 23 of the 41 5-month members were farmer full members, 56%.
Do you have any idea what percentage of those were, let's say, Canadian?
No, I can.
No, and I'm not picking on them because, like I said,
I don't know.
they're my great friends. So, I mean, I'd rather see them get the breaks. You know? Thanks.
Okay, let's wrap this up. Wait a minute, Rusty. Wait a minute, Mr. Jackson. We'll take these 3, and that'll be it.
Bill Jackson, resident. About 5 years ago, when I ran for the board, I was exercised over a lot of these things that went on the golf course. But since that time, I don't know if I'm just getting older or more dull or things don't affect me as much. But I must say I do enjoy watching the 5 of you dance on the head of a pin to work all these things out. I wish you the best of luck doing it. But sitting here like this, I just shake my head and I'm a little bit humorous because you're fighting the gods. And so I wish you good luck, and you find the answer to this, and you get off the head of that pin. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Bill.
Al Ridley.
Al who?
Al Ridley. I was a member last year, and I came into the clubhouse late December and tried to get a membership because I just came in just a couple days ago from basically the middle of January to the middle of April. And at that time, I had my check with me, and basically I was denied an opportunity basically to join in the middle of January to the middle of April. So consequently, you lost $3,000 just from me alone. So basically I'm saying to you now, your numbers are saying we got so many 3-month memberships and so many 5. How many people are there like me who didn't join at all? Your numbers don't show that. And I'm one person and my wife, because we're a team, you lost out on an entire 3-month membership. And I'm saying there's possibly more. And the other thing is you're saying, how do you deal with people joining in the middle of the month or the third of the month or something like that? And you understand that most of us are Canadians. And one thing about Canadians is we are pretty well the most honest people in the world. If our membership ended on the 15th, we're not coming back on the 16th and trying to get into your course. So I don't think that is a problem as far as we're concerned. And the other thing that you've lost as well is you've lost my money in the clubhouse, which also isn't going to show. Because if I'm not golfing, I'm not in your clubhouse, I'm not spending money on beer and food.
You said you came in when and were denied?
I was here in middle of December, and I walked into the office to try and join with my wife, the 2 of us, and we wanted to join basically the middle of January to the middle of April, and we were denied that. So you don't have my money this year.
Well,
we're not members.
They should have offered you a 3-month membership at least.
No.
Well, they should.
It had to start on January 1 to the end of March.
No,
and I walked away, and that's what I was told. And that was Andy. And
if you were given that information, it was wrong because the 3-month membership or the 5-month membership is supposed to run from December until April.
No, I was looking for a 3-month membership.
3 months.
3 months, not 5. I was here earlier and I had to go back home. I'm Canadian.
That just points out the inconsistency we're dealing with, and we're going to address
That's
that.
what I'm trying to point out as
Okay,
well.
very good, thank you.
Okay.
Rusty, last comment.
Rusty Crino, resident. Boy, you guys created a mess here. That's to say the least. And I don't blame people jumping from going to 3 months into 5 months situation if they're going to get the same benefits as an annual member. I think you should take a little bit of a leeway from Disney World, in that they offer in Disney World, when you buy a ticket, you're a Florida resident, you have what we call blackout dates. And I'm saying the same situation here. And I'm not trying to be funny, facetious about it, that when you offer the 3 months and the 5 month situation, you ought to offer it with some restrictions and not giving them the same benefits, the full benefits that you do a full-time person that's paying the full rate for the membership, such as not having 7 days to sign up for a tea time, maybe only teeing up from 12 o'clock on. But I think there should be some restrictions placed on the 3 months and the 5 month situation. Thank you.
Okay. That's it. And that was fun. I will get with Tanya and we'll structure an appropriate across-the-board committee representation to be chaired by Supervisor White.
Let me ask a question there. Part of that is, or a good chunk of that, is going to come from the golf committee?
Well, we want a broad spectrum.
Okay, well, you mentioned the WGA, the MGA, that's all in the golf committee?
Yes.
Jim attends the golf committee. What about using the golf committee as the base of it?
No, the golf committee is an advisory committee. It's not a standing committee by their own wishes.
Okay.
So they will have one representative. I want a broad spectrum on this.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Moving on. Discussion of our labor law attorney proposals. We have 3 firms that have proposed. David?
Yes, sir. I did a little bit of looking at or reviewing the 3 applications. They're all very well qualified. Obviously, there's some disparity in the hourly rate. Mr. Malfitano is the most expensive at $375 an hour, which is discounted from $475 an hour. However, he does have over 40 years experience and has been board certified in labor and employment law since 2002. Brian Koji, who we have used in the past, is actually the cheapest at $230 an hour. He is board certified labor and employment law attorney as well for over 10 years, and he's the member of several labor and employment law committees. The newcomer is Mr. Schneider. He's middle of the road at $275 an hour. He's got a diverse educational experience. He's certified to practice law in District of Columbia, New York, and in Florida. And he's board certified in labor and employment law, but only for about 3 years now, less than 3 years. The one point I will make is that we have used Mr. Koji in the past, but he appears to be generally the labor law attorney that is employed by our insurance carriers. If we have an issue that involves our insurance carriers, he is usually the default person. I don't have any recommendations one way or the other, but it may, if we get to the point where we're involved in litigation and our insurance carrier is using Mr. Koji, we may want to think about having an alternative to that.
Could have a conflict there.
Well, not necessarily a conflict, but an alternative point of view as opposed to, someone who's going to give us the same point of view that they're giving our, insurance carrier.
Yeah, I've spent quite some time this week trying to go through these client references, and I'll start with the Malfitano firm. And I should say, all these references they've quoted, everybody gives them great marks, so you have to sift through that, which is good, of course, but as David says, they're a little bit more expensive, but I talked with the General Counsel of Polk County, Clerk of Court, and I've talked with Jeff Hoyle, who is Fire Control District Chief, West Bradenton. And I talked with Nancy Irvin, who's Vice President of Human Resources, Mid-Florida Credit Union, which we have down the street. This was their regional office. And that's the firm of Constangy, Brooks, Smith, and Profetti. And what I got was that this firm is a pretty high-powered firm. It has a lot of resources. And one questions how responsive they are. And to a person, these references said that they were extremely responsive. They delegated when there was something other than the labor situation. In terms of litigators, they have litigators. We have... Polk County, their relationship with the Constangy firm goes back to 1988. The thing that struck me, two things. Three things. Number one is the resources that they have. Number two, they all said that this was a highly aggressive representation, and they felt that they always had their clients' best interests at heart, and again, they got very top marks. So that's a Constangy group. The other group is Weiss, Sirota, Hefner, and by the way, Malfitano is out of Tampa, and I believe this group is out of Fort Lauderdale. So I talked with the city of Aventura. Does anybody know that city? Okay, and then I talked with North Collier Fire Control and Rescue District, and then I talked with the city of Dunedin. And got pretty much the same background. The important thing is they're litigators as well as labor attorneys, and pretty much the same. They're efficient, they're responsive to situations. City of Aventura has over 20 years of experience with this firm, so they're a very solid group, and there's about $100 an hour, I think, below the Malfitano group. Then we come to our current firm that we have used, and I think to some extent not real satisfied with some of the results we got, but and this is Brian Koji. I talked to Bonnie Mims, who is the Executive Director of Public Risk Management of Florida. This is, David, the insurance group that you talked about. And she gave him a super recommendation. And but if they use them, then we won't have our own person. So that's it. But I talked with Scott Knowledge, who's the city manager of Sebring. They use Koji, and they were quite happy, and they felt that he was very positive. I guess the consensus is Mr. Koji is not a very aggressive mediator, but he does litigate as well. Did you know that, David? Yes. We haven't had that situation, but we're getting there. And then I talked with our friend Julian DeLeon up in Avon Park, and I called Jillian because if you remember in the newspaper article, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, they were discussing Avon Park's problems with their fire department. And in that article, I got the report, impression, and so forth, that Mr. Koji was quite solid in protecting their interests. And that's the issue that caused us to go out for proposals. So we have a situation that I think, by the way, I should say that Allen Norton and Blue, which is Mr. Koji's company, and again, high marks, they're from Tampa as well. So we have two from Tampa and one from Fort Lauderdale. We have no local people proposing. I would say of the three, they have the least number of resources available. So we have a sliding scale on rates. Generally, Norton and what's the other group? Weiss, yeah, they're about the same pay scale. Mel Fitano is a little bit higher, and he goes all over the country, but yet they say he's extremely responsible. He's very responsive, I should say, very aggressive. And when I asked about the billing, they said his billing was very efficient. He may have a higher cost per hour, and some of his people may be a little bit higher, but he doesn't pad the billing, and I thought that was a good solid recommendation. So here we are. We have this, and any other comments from the board? Any ideas?
Well, I've got a couple. I probably had some closer interface with Brian Koji, with Allen Norton and Blue than anyone on the board, and frankly I think we need a different labor law council. One thing really stuck with me the last time I had some interface with Mr. Koji. He wasn't even familiar with the district policies that were in place in certain instances that he should have been, and you shouldn't have to point that out to anybody. Maybe what we need to do is have the general manager and David interview these other two firms and see, where their comfort level is regarding the other two firms, and maybe come back with a recommendation. It's pretty much a toss-up. As far as I'm concerned, these other two firms, I'm not an Allen Norton and Blue fan, but I think the other two probably need to be interviewed and come back with a recommendation as to which one we might take. Probably might be one approach.
Oh, that's fair enough. My concern is that we have this current lawsuit, and we have a district council, and yet we go outside and we pick an outside firm to litigate. I think the firm that we pick for our labor situations, our legal situations, should be one that advises us as situations arise, tries to resolve the situation, but is able to litigate, so that we don't have to consider somebody to litigate. And both of those firms all three firms meet that criteria, but I think the two firms, other than Norton and Blue, meet that criteria. So we can certainly proceed on that basis, David and Tanya, and I'd like to be involved in that as well. So David, you're in the legal business. These people, would they have any problem bringing their principal to an interview meeting?
It may be, you want a face-to-face interview, phone interview?
Well, I think face-to-face, you like to look the guy in the eye.
No, I understand that. That we may get charged for it. I mean, we can always ask and see if they're willing to, to come down. But principles of, partners in law firms times is valuable. So I don't know that they'll. I mean, I'm not saying they won't, but we can absolutely inquire, see if they'll be willing to come down personally.
Well, I'd be uncomfortable any other way.
Yeah, we need to talk to the person that's going to be representing us specifically. It doesn't have to be, I mean, I don't know if one of these guys they're probably managing partners of that firm, but I'd take a shot at it and see if they, I mean, if it's important to them to pick up another client, which should be, I wouldn't think there should be any problem with them coming down. May pay for their
buy them lunch or something,
travel time or whatever. I don't know, but at least I think it'd be worth a shot. I mean, Tanya's got to be comfortable with him. You have to be comfortable with him, or it won't work.
All right. And the board has to be comfortable with him.
All right, so we'll arrange that for the Weiss firm and Malfitano's firm. We'll see if we can get that arranged.
And David makes a good point, because you want to be across the table from the people that you're selecting. So, but again, I would say that both of those firms received extremely high marks from the people I contacted. Okay, we'll proceed on that basis. We move on now to the Ponce de Leon sidewalk, and I'm going to ask Diane Andrus to come up to the podium, because she's been deeply involved in this, and as we discuss this, we'll want your input as well, Diane, okay?
Okay.
Tanya, do you want to start with the review of the situation?
Yes, at the last board meeting, the board advised me to bring back cost estimates for the Ponce de Leon sidewalk project. We are proposing a 5-foot wide concrete sidewalk from Nadina Drive, and I've given you the cost of $117,000 approximately to take the sidewalk all the way to Adrian Street, which is the last residential street of the Miranda Homes area. The attached map that I've given you shows the three phases that we could possibly approve. The first being Nadina to Savona Drive South. We're estimating a cost of $72,000 for that sidewalk. And then moving on from Savona South to Romano Street, that's another $31,000 approximately. And then completing the sidewalk to Adrian Street would be another $13,000. So for this project, I plan to apply for a 50% reimbursement from the Highlands County Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee for this project. It is a safety hazard, and it is continued to be a concern of our residents, and we received the petition of all the residents, not all the residents, excuse me, a portion of the residents in that community. So the decision today is, how far do we want the sidewalk to go? Do we want it to go to Adrian Street? And which side of the road we have, west or east? So I'll talk to...
Where do you propose to cross Ponce? You're going up the west side, and then you're crossing over to the Miranda Homes area. At what point?
We have two options for a crosswalk. One option is to cross at Savona South, cross from the west side of the road to the east side of the road, and then continue north. Okay, and that is the map that you have is the second option. And the second option would be continue on the west side all the way to Romano Street and then cross at Romano. The issue there is that we have 5 driveways on the west side, which is north of Savona. So
why couldn't we cross at, remember where Hornick's office was, and that's now a private home? Could we cross right at that southern boundary of their property?
Savona South, is that
it? Is that
Yeah.
Diane?
That's one option.
That's
The other
an option.
option that I was thinking of or thought was maybe not even going across their property and putting the crosswalk right at the end of T-box number 7 and where the Sun and Lake Preserve homeowner sign is, right there, and that would avoid going across their property, which I know that there's property rights or right away for the highway department, but I didn't know if that might cause some delays. And just a diagonal across at that point,
It
over to
shouldn't.
the other side.
Would that work? That would work.
Is that preserve sign at Savona South?
Pardon?
Where is that? Is that
It's before you get to Savona South. It's just at the end of the where their property, that last house there, a Hornick's old model home, right where their property starts. It would kind of be in the middle of the block, but my thought process on that was that you wouldn't have to move. There's a telephone box there, which probably isn't a big deal, or their sprinkler system. I assume it goes out to the road.
We can discuss those type of details, but I think the issue here is where do we want the sidewalk to continue west over those 5 driveways or not? I mean, it will be more expensive to dig up the driveway and then replace the concrete for those 5 driveways. And those driveways are located on the west side of Ponce.
Yeah, that with those 5 homes too, they have they're the ones that have that existing sidewalk that goes that's about midway in their yard because it used to be a model home property. And so they already have a zigzag sidewalk. If you put another sidewalk in down at the bottom near the road, they're probably going to want somebody to take out the existing ones, which I know that's not our responsibility. But,
those sidewalks that exist now, they are on their property, which is private property.
So if we crossed over right at the southern boundary of the old Hornick property, we would avoid any conflicts.
With any properties, actually, until you get down to Miranda Homes. Now, I don't know if that's feasible. I'm not an engineer, but that was just a thought, that either that option or going all the way down to Savona South and crossing there, and then avoiding those 5 homes on the south side, or on the west side.
Well, I would think the sidewalk would be south boundary, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Commissioner Hanley, can we kind of count on your support to see if we can get this 50% grant? That would be great. This has been a festering issue for a long time, and Mrs. Andrus has been tireless in trying to get our attention and our input to this. So we're gonna complete it one way or the other this year. But it would be nice if we could qualify for that kind of a grant. Gentlemen, comments?
Need to do it.
Do you like the idea of going to
I like crossing over right where you said. That, to me, seems like the simplest way and to stay away from all the trouble.
Right.
Okay.
I like that idea. That can't be very far away from that speed bump there either, is it?
No, we'll deal with all that. The important thing is in spite of those speed bumps, Ponce gets a lot of speeders.
Oh.
And when we have that crossover, we sure as heck better make sure that people are aware of that. Our drivers are aware of that as they come either from north or from south. That bothers me more than anything else, because we've had constant comments from residents as far as the speed of the vehicles on that particular road. So we can take care of that.
If you would allow myself and the engineer to look into a crosswalk at that area before we make a decision. I mean, the decision today, either you're saying Savona South, or it would be at the model home with this how many feet directly south of that intersection. Yeah. I just don't know if we want a crosswalk outside of an intersection. I would like to consult with our engineer.
And I agree. I'm not an engineer, so whatever is most feasible, but I would think that it would be more feasible to have it in one of those 2 spots rather than continue on down Ponce on the side where the model homes were, or the 5 houses.
From a financial standpoint, yes, it would.
Well, we'll proceed on that basis. Tom, do you have a comment?
Tom Costi resident. More of a question. The 5-foot width of the sidewalk, has anyone looked into the issue of golf cart traffic on a 5-foot wide sidewalk? And looking at the engineering on this, or the layout on this? The reason I ask, we put in a multi-purpose cart path from Cortez to up near the town hall, and I believe it's 8 feet wide. And in checking, when we were talking about golf cart traffic within the district, I believe there's a requirement that if there's a combination of foot traffic and golf cart traffic, there's a minimum of 8 feet, I believe, of the width. So, now we've already got golf cart. People walk on them going up Columbus Boulevard on both sides of the road. We've got very narrow paths, which I don't think qualify for a combination of golf cart and foot traffic. And if there's ever an accident there, that could become a serious issue for the district. So I'm just concerned.
We could restrict golf carts because the existing sidewalk is no more than 3 feet wide.
Correct.
It goes up there
Correct.
now. Maybe
Correct.
even a
And so
little
it hasn't
narrow.
been an issue, but there was a reason for putting in an 8-foot called a multi-purpose, and the state requirement is that with foot traffic and golf carts are allowed on the same path. The minimum is, I'm not sure if it's 8 feet or 9 feet, but it's not 5 feet.
That would create more havoc. I would say that we would build the sidewalk for joggers and for walkers and restrict that from golf cart use because it's just going to dump into a 3-foot.
I will mention that there are a lot more golf carts now coming down for the shotguns. They're actually coming down from Nadina and going down that portion until they get to hole number 6 and 7, I think. I've seen a bigger increase in it for some reason.
But then all of a sudden that would dump on that 3-foot and, that would be a mess. So I don't.
Are you saying that there would be signs up there, no golf carts on this cart path?
That would be my preference. I don't know.
Well, they're gonna. If you got a sidewalk wide enough for a golf cart, somebody's going to use it. Just like they use the one going down Columbus, and just like they use the one on the other side of the.
But if a golf cart knocks a kid over, there'd be an issue, and it will be the district will be on the hook for that. If the cart path doesn't accommodate and there aren't proper, I'm just saying it's something to consider. Perhaps that 5 feet is not wide enough.
I wouldn't want an 8-foot. Talk about the
I just want a
increasing
sidewalk,
cost.
so
Yeah.
whatever y'all decide is fine with me.
You cite this 117,000. Is that Gator's estimate? Who prepared that estimate?
The engineer, yes.
The engineer
Yes,
being.
sir. Gator Howerton.
Okay.
Yeah, he was talking 96,000 at the last meeting, and it went up a little bit from this first discussion.
Mr. Hurley, do you have any alternative to that? I think you talked about some kind of an estimate. I don't know what.
Well, the estimates that I went and got myself.
Speaking to Mike, please.
Mike Hurley. The estimates that we went out and got with George was just the plan has changed completely, which I like Tanya's plan a lot better because it's number one, it has both sides of the road, and if we're gonna we got a price somewhere around 50,000, but that was a 4-foot sidewalk, and that was just from one end to the road to the other to connect.
Okay, what you're saying, the 117 is good, right?
That's very good.
That's good.
I mean, if we can get money from the county, that's a very good price.
Well, we shall see, but we're gonna build this regardless. Financing. Do we go to reserves? How do we get this done?
We're going to recommend to use reserves in the general fund, and when we put this out for bid, we'll bring it back to the board with a bid award and a budget amendment.
Do we have any line item that we could dip into to offset taking it all out of reserves?
Possibly. I could look into it.
Yeah. Okay. But we'll have a commitment to start that as soon as possible. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Diane?
Thank you. I would love to see it finished before school starts next year if we can get it.
We shall try.
Yeah.
You know how the public sector works.
Well, I do, yes. But thank you for your consideration.
Okay, we, add-on item I think was from Mrs. Reedy, and that's been addressed. Do we have any other add-on or any petitions or communications other than that?
That's it.
Okay. Staff reports, we have a community services report. Are we cold?
I always I get cold easily. I enjoy this weather. To Neil Drury Smith, Community Services Director. I just want to update on some projects and some things that we're working on. First of all, I know we were asked to touch some on the marketing and some of the efforts that Jim and I have been working together to market locally in the state and also outside. We've done a lot of marketing on the local billboard advertising. We have the one billboard up at Olive Garden, which I'm not sure if you've noticed within the recent months, it's gone double-sided. So we're getting it from the north and south side. We've also contacted and trying to negotiate a contract for a couple of the other billboards in the county to see if we can get up on other and have some, throughout the county versus just at that one.
Can I make a plea for more vibrant colors on the billboard so that it attracts attention? It's a very bland, it's a nice message, but it's a very bland color scheme.
Are you referring to the billboard that we have?
Yes.
The printed billboard?
Yes.
I've actually had conversations with the person that I work with to design, and that's always something that I bring to her attention. And I don't know if it's something where when we get the billboard and we look at the picture on the screen, sometimes in printing it changes a little bit. But the colors when they come across on my screen are generally very vibrant colors. So
you're never going to convince me, because you drive and look at our billboard and then you go down and you look at the City of Sebring billboard and you'll see quite a difference in terms of attraction and color. I will continue to work on that. We actually, any time now, should have a new billboard going up. So please let me know. We can review it, I hope, before.
It's already been. I generally don't send out the billboards for. I can start doing that if you prefer me to.
Well, let's see what the new one looks like.
Okay.
All right.
And also, recently, we started partnering more with the TDC, the Tourist Development Council, which is run by Helens County, in marketing efforts for golf courses and such throughout the county. So that's going to be a continued effort as well. Casey Wall has taken over recently, and she does a great job getting people here, and she did a great job with the downtown Sebring effort. So we really look to her and trust, that they're going to help start bringing a lot more people to our county, and we're going to work with them on that as well. We've started Facebook marketing heavy, and also Google Ads. Google Ads is something that we haven't done before, or at least since I've been here. So we're trying different things, and since a lot of the marketing efforts seem to be going to social and online versus print ads. As far as the district goes, we have taken out another ad in the Midwest Golfing Magazine. The first ad will be printed in a couple of weeks. I know the deadline is passed to submit, and we've submitted the $99 stay-in-place special, which also has the verbiage on there that, if you purchase a new home, you get a free membership. So that's going in that magazine. And we decided that the best time to do the feature article, like we did last year, was going to be this coming summer, where people are really starting to think about what they're going to do for the winter and such. So we opted to wait until the summer to have that feature article and see how that goes for this year. And I'll be working with Jim on, I know he's already kind of written up something based on what we did last time. So that'll be a work in progress as well. I also have looked into the Mr. Halbig and Mr. White have both given me the same article on looking into a different advertising avenue,
And I have looked into it, and I'll be sending out that information that I received shortly to see if that might be something of interest.
What is it, by the way?
It's basically a company that people who are interested in looking at different golfing communities in Florida, they match them up with what their needs and wants are. So this would be, there's a free option, and then there's also a paid option. So I'll be sending that information out soon.
Yeah, I showed that to Jim. Jim knows the guys that started that. And matter of fact, Bill Norcross tried to give me another copy. Maybe that's where Larry got his copy.
Okay.
But he tried to give me another copy that he got out of the Golf Digest that I give you. So
So I am working on getting more information as far as that goes. And Jim and I are working very closely on this marketing and spending these extra dollars. So hopefully next month, I've already seen a lot of activity on Facebook, so I know those ads are working. And again, we chose to target the Midwest area and Canada. So like I said, it's working very well so far. Security cameras are installed, and they're up and running, and they look great. So if you want to come see what the quality is, you can come by my office or security. We have access to them 24/7 on mobile phones, as well as in the offices. So I think that's going to be a great added benefit to keeping things secure around here.
Tennille, next meeting, I would like a report on our membership levels, our fitness club, our pool, our tennis racket club.
Actually have those numbers for you today.
You do?
Yes, I do.
You're way ahead of me.
And I'll get to those in just a minute. With the website, we're about a month away from going live. So right now, we got the initial look, the first initial look, and we're tweaking changes and giving them feedback of things we want to see different. And I think it's going to be a very refreshing and very inviting change to what we currently have. So we worked very hard on it. Next week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we have all-day training on how to use the website and add things. And the great thing about this website is we have the ability to change things. We don't have to wait for them to upload and such. We can go ahead and change everything right then and there. So very extensive training next week.
Does the new website feature the short-term rental opportunities that we have in Sun and Lake? Because we have that element on our current website, and I think that's a very important part where people can come on the website and see what's available for the coming year in terms of properties for rent, short-term rent.
It is an option, and I think that we're going to look at going forward changing the program so that we can have control over. I know that Tanya and I have had numerous discussions on what we can do.
Dick, it's not built into the new website because it is an option, meaning there's extra cost, and it would have to be developed by Civic Plus. So it is not going to be on the new website.
That's a major vehicle for all of our owners.
I don't believe it's getting used very much, but we can...
I get calls out of it because I have a short-term rental situation. I get calls.
Well, the issue is managing it. So it is not going to be built into the new website, but we're going to look into it.
Okay, then how would they get the information? Is there any kind of a link you can say, call the office, do this, do that? I mean...
As of right now, there won't be anything where anyone can post or advertise their property. But we need to try to, if we're going to go with that option and we do want to offer it, we need to come up with a better solution. I think we talked about it several months ago, that the major problem is a lot of people don't manage they'll put it on there and then they'll just leave it and forget about it. And we have no control over it because they set their account up and they post it, and if it sits on there and say it's a property that's for sale and it gets sold and someone calls on it, we've had several instances where people have called in and said, well, you have this on your website, but it sold 2 years ago. We don't have that ability to manage it. So we want to be able to figure out a good solution to the problem before we start the same start off with the same problem that we had before.
Are we still working with Ridge Realty in terms of property availability in Silent Lake?
We tend to, refer people when they call, that's a good place for them to start. With
I don't know. Do they have their own website, Ridge Realty?
Oh yes.
Okay.
And as you say, they advertise a lot in the district as well. I mean, they advertise in our newsletter and the golf cart marketing as well. We had a very successful with pickleball clinics that happened over the past couple of weeks. They coordinate with Jonathan to do it, but essentially 2 key members have taken upon themselves to run the clinic and to teach people that are interested in learning about pickleball. It's Julie Tiger and Judy Granger. There was also about 15 members that came out to help them teach all these people. It generated several new memberships, and in total there were 37 people who came out to these clinics, versus last year we had about 10. So the program definitely grew, and we've actually had people want to do another one. So we're looking at possibly doing another one, but Judy and Julie had taken it upon themselves, and of course it's their time. So, we don't want to just force that on them, but we think that that's going to be something going forward that's going to continue to grow and grow and grow every year. So that's really great. It's really great for the Racket Club. We have a pickleball tournament coming up, as you can see there, on February 17th. And we have the new residence visitors reception on February 9th. At 6 o'clock at the Island View. Those invitations went out this week, and we've already started getting RSVPs, so that's a positive. As far as membership numbers go, we have right now 331 Racket Club members.
Wow, what did we have last year?
I believe it was 290. So it's already
we did have that many last year?
Yes, we did.
What comments? I hope you're getting all good comments back on that facility.
Yeah, I mean, we really, everyone loves it.
I would hope so.
I know. We're very proud of our Racket Club, but yes, everyone appreciated when it opened, and it's definitely getting used. It's busy out there every day.
Do you know when the bathrooms are going to be finished?
The RFP went out last week. So the process has started. So the bids will be coming in, and hopefully within the next couple of months we'll have.
Please do not cut any more trees. Mr. Hurley.
It's not her fault.
I told him I was going to point fingers when that time came.
Every one of those hurts, I can tell you that.
Well, one positive about some of those trees being gone is it will alleviate a lot of the pine needles and that do accumulate. So that's definitely a positive. They do accumulate.
That's not good enough.
We have 790 pool memberships. So if that gives you any indication that our pool is, aside from when we have weather like this, but it's being used a lot. So that's something that continues to grow every year. I fibbed a little when I said I had all the membership numbers. The fitness membership, our system has been down the past week, and Central Security was out here yesterday, and they're trying to fix the problem. So once the system gets back up, we can accumulate the numbers. So I'll bring those numbers or email them out to you. But that, I can tell you just from hearing and seeing the memberships coming into the office that as well, it's definitely continuing to grow. And I'm sure we're already in a small space that we're going to eventually have to expand to accommodate, the new members. The resident guides, the little booklets that were budgeted to go in this year, we're in the final stages of designing and proofreading and putting those together. My hope is that I have them printed for the new residence visitors reception, and then we'll also have those to start passing out to new people coming into the community, as well as the information packets that we already hand out to them. So that's coming along. And then the last thing is we have the Dash and Die on March 26th, and it's pretty much, for the most part, staying the same, except the festival portion has worked out so well in this parking lot for Trick or Trot that we're going to do the festival in this parking lot here again and see how that goes. So we're definitely very busy, and it won't be long before we're planning summer camps as well.
Very good.
So
Thanks, Janelle.
thank you.
Any questions? Okay, thank you. I don't know if Jim wants to come up again.
While Jim's coming up.
Oh, yes, sir.
That's great news.
There you go. That's our man. Thanks, Ron.
The permits are ready for the signs.
Okay.
Great to know people, isn't it? Jim Kurtzborn, General Manager, Sun and Lake Golf Club, Billy Casper Golf. Just to follow up on our last meeting, we have addressed the GPS perimeters for the carts, which on a number of holes were badly needed to be addressed. We've also addressed the hole on number 11 of Deer, the sprinkler, and should have the curbing addressed on number 3 of Turtle by the end of the week. We had a very successful Latino PGA event, very popular with the members that participated and with the players in the PGA. Based on the unfortunate weather we've been having, it was definitely a very revenue positive event for us this year. One, because it moved up a week, and two, because it wasn't a great week for golf. So we had tee times available every day on Turtle. Not necessarily if someone wanted to play in the 8 o'clock shotgun that didn't fill up, but there was always either the 8 o'clock or 1 o'clock was open, even on the days of play. This coming Monday, we have our group leader meeting and a new member meeting where we basically will introduce the new members to the group leaders to make sure they get acclimated to all we have to offer here. And also we have, besides other venues, we want to work with the group leaders this year to try to get play counts for when they're going to come in after their play into the restaurant. That is definitely one of the challenges we have, is accommodating our, like last night, 150 covers is about our average cover rate for the restaurant. And then when you get 100 or so members filling in, it's definitely a challenging situation. So we've got the heaters lit on the porch. We've got tables that are being, documented and reserved for different groups. And so we're putting forth every effort to accommodate, everyone. I will be meeting next week, a preliminary meeting with Betsy Shepard from Ridge Realty to look at different prospective properties that can be incorporated into a possible future stay and play program. And then Tanya and I will be meeting with her in the very near future to tour those properties. Ridge has already got 2 sales that will qualify for our new program of a free membership with the purchase. We are experiencing, I think as everyone would realize, a difficult weather pattern now with, didn't seem like the weather people knew what they were talking about in November and December when they were saying cooler. Definitely wasn't cooler at that time, but it was wetter. But now we are starting to get the El Nino cooler, wetter weather. Did happen to talk to the gentleman who runs the management company for Highlands Ridge when we were discussing a mutual project with the TDC to promote Sebring in Highlands County, and did find out that they're actually 20% off on their golf year to date since October. We're fortunate we're 9% off on our golf play through now. Beyond that, the other things before I would get into the review of the previous fiscal year comparison is just to talk to the supervisors to address the issue that was brought up by Mr. Halbig and I believe Mr. Diot relative to the men's member guest is actually scheduled where it would start in March on March 30th and 31st and then would extend into April 1st and 2nd. Based on last year, if the exact same players played, we would have 5 members that would be affected by the fact that that event was moved back into April, and they would have a membership expiring the end of March. The MGA has stated that since those gentlemen would be members when the event started, they would feel that that qualifies to meet their bylaws. But I would like to get the support of the supervisors or the guidance of the supervisors to see how we'd want to handle that, whether we would allow it or wouldn't allow it. And then if we allow it, I would recommend that we charge green fees to them to play so that we're fair to the other people who've paid for their memberships for X amount of days. Should I go through the year in review and then accept questions?
Let's address that. Do you have a comment on that?
You said they could play, and they agree that it is within their bylaws, even though the tournament itself is the first and second. I mean, you got the shootout and all this on the 31st. The actual tournament that counts is the first and second. What was the option to pay green fees and?
Well, since they wouldn't be members when they played on Monday and Tuesday, the member would need to pay a green fee.
Yeah, that's okay with me. I don't see how it falls within the bylaws of the. How about the second issue with the couples member championship?
The couples championship, which is later in the month on the 6th and 7th. I talked to Mr. Umpris, relative to that.
Mm-hmm.
That request, I believe, is just a personal request from him, not something that it went through the MGA board.
Yeah, he'd have to amend his bylaws, I think. They were pretty strict on not letting people play if they weren't members, and the bylaw they'd have to amend them in order to allow that. This other thing, if it's okay with them, it's okay with me because it's so close. But if we would have followed the rules and started in December, it would not have been an issue.
That's correct.
Anyway, anybody else want to comment?
Okay, so I guess we're saying that based on your proposal for the first and the second green fees, we're okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Jim, let's move on.
Sure. Before we get into the year in review, I would just address Mr. Ridley. And the timing was Mr. Ridley came in, I believe it was approximately 4 or 5 days after our district meeting where we discussed, sticking to what we had put together and having people start on the first of the month. So his request to start a membership, 90-day membership in the middle of the month wouldn't have been within our guidelines. That's the reason he was told that he couldn't start his membership.
I don't think it was ever written that it has to start. Only the fact that it had to fall within those 5 months, which actually is a beginning of a month and an ending of a month. But a 3-year membership, the three month membership could fall anywhere within that 5-month window. That's just like
and it
previous
can start on the
request.
1st or the 15th or the 20th or the 10th.
3 months. It's 3 months.
Any 90-day period.
Within that prescribed window. So.
Okay.
I mean, that's my thoughts about it. I mean,
but that seems to be the confusing thing because I don't think anybody really knows. I mean, I didn't know that. I don't know if Larry knew that or.
It's obviously, yeah. I mean, we're going to double our efforts this year, I think, on everybody's part to fully document everything we're offering, to to cover whether the husband and wife can take a single membership and when memberships can start and stop and different things. So I know Mr. Ridley's right there. If we want to take 3 months memberships in the middle of the month, we might be able to salvage some revenue.
Well, we're getting a group together to look at all of that, so let's not get ahead of ourselves, okay?
I'm just looking for direction from the board. This is what happens to me every day when they walk in my office. So I just trying to be honest, you know, we're all on the same team. It's not as easy as it appears. So I'd like to leave the meeting with an answer for Mr. Ridley.
I think we ought to let him do it.
Well, I think you're following the rules. If he takes a 3 months membership within those prescribed months that the board prescribed it, because the board never set the parameters on a 3 month or a 1 month period.
Well, I think we ought to do it, but I think it ought to be clarified for next year. I mean,
I guarantee you,
this is something that. I mean, if Al wants to join, we should let him join, but let's get it straightened out for next year so Jim knows what to do.
All right. We have a procedure that if we have a discussion, you come up to the podium. Mrs. Reedy. Sorry. Go ahead.
Other than that, I just have our review from fiscal year 2014 to 2015. Definitely Mr. David Ford did a great job of leading his team and the district to an excellent year. We saw, as Tanya had said in her report, a 6% increase in golf revenues and a 17% increase in restaurant revenues. We were able to take those revenues and drive those to the bottom line to decrease the loss from the previous year for a $55,000 improvement, $55,569.
Jim, excuse me, let me interrupt a minute.
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure that we understand when we talk about the subsidy that we have to provide each year, the transfer from general fund to golf fund. Are you saying, and I hope that's what you're saying, is that we've seen a $55,000 decrease in our requirement to transfer funds? Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Well, I'm not. Maybe Tanya can answer that question better.
That's a critical point for us because we've transferred as much as $400,000 in the past, and I thought it was going down to $385 and then to $322. Where are we on that?
In 2015, the golf club we subsidized the golf club $171,000. That's a $243,000 decrease.
Okay, that's the best we've seen in 15 years.
And what Jim is discussing is more bottom line, the number there. But yeah, $243,000.
That is good news. That is really good news.
All we got to do now is get the capital under control.
Well, I think this year we're going to do that. Go ahead, Jim. I'm sorry.
No. And those results were also $109,000 better than planned. Our initiatives going forward this year are to increase the detailing of the golf course. And all this is based on our goal of increasing the demand to live in Sun and Lake and to be a Sun and Lake golf member. Also, our goal this year is to additional planning for better service of the member groups after golf play, to improve our food service order times during the peak periods of demand, to better utilize our space in the clubhouse for members and guests, to market our club and development through a stay-and-play program, and to advertise and market our free membership for 1 year with the purchase of the residence.
Can I ask you one question under golf expenses, general and administrative? In 2014, you had a cost of $373,000. That jumped to $554,000. Could you elaborate on that difference?
Yes, sir. I wasn't privy. I did some research, but not an extensive research about the budget discussions. One of the things you can see there is the budget in 2015 was for general and administrative is $755,997. The general manager, actually previously his salary had been in golf, and that was moved to general and administrative along with other expenses. The golf department was expanded some with the addition of some additional staff, but that's where you see those two variances that stick out in golf expenses, of the golf expense going down and the G&A overall expense going up, which those are a combination of labor and other expenses.
All of which is within the overall CASPER budget.
Yes, sir.
Good.
I've got one question. Now that all the numbers are in, was there any incentive, based on the contract, any incentive payback to CASPER?
I haven't calculated that, and I don't think you have either. The external auditors are going to prepare a compilation report that basically gives the numbers that I need to calculate the incentive. I haven't seen that yet from the auditors.
Looks like there will be.
I don't know. I haven't done any preliminary work.
It appears like there will be. Possibly.
With that result, I would hope there would be. They've done overall a pretty damn good job. Other than the memberships. Okay. Anything else, Jim? We good?
Yes, sir. Thank you, President Miller.
Thank you. Okay. Any comments on the security report? Any comments on the code enforcement report? Okay, we move to general counsel. David?
Yes, sir. Since the last meeting, not much has happened regarding, we discussed the Doty case and the Ayala case. There hasn't been a whole lot of movement. Obviously, we're waiting for those hearings to come up, and I believe the discovery's due early February. Hearings will be mid-February, so by this time next month, hopefully we'll have some idea about where those are going.
Which case?
Both Ayala and the Doty case.
Well, while we're still young, please.
Yeah. Foreclosure.
We laugh about it, but we're getting out of pocket.
Understood.
There's no resolution on this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're reaching the breaking point. As I spoke at the last meeting, the new, Judge Radin likes to move cases along. And hopefully he's going to take a hard-line stance, and because, like I said, Judge Estrada had already put limitations on it, and basically these new hearings are begging for extensions to those, and I'd be surprised if it happens, quite honestly.
Well, we're familiar with the what I call the Severino case, but the Doty case, does that have any merit at all?
No, not at all, Your Honor. In my opinion, not at all. So, I think they listed there's a 90 to 100% chance that the district will have no repercussions.
Who is representing our interests?
I believe that's all. I think that's Roper and Roper as well.
The insurance people taking it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because remember, I forget which case it was, but not you, but Mr. McClure went ahead and picked a lawyer without our consent. So I just want to make sure that doesn't happen again.
They indicated they still hadn't finished all the depositions when I was up there.
Yeah, well, that's
more to do.
Yeah, that's what part of the motion is about. The Judge Estrada had to require that all discovery be completed by December 31st, and they were scrambling the last minute to get everything, a lot of stuff filed, a lot of depositions completed, and I know that the district's attorneys filed a large packet of discovery requests on the 29th, which will be coming due here in early February. But some of the plaintiffs could not get their depositions properly scheduled, and that's the new motion, is for an extension of time to grant, to get those depositions completed. So we'll see what Judge Radin has to say about it.
Is Roper involved in both cases?
Yes.
But we have tried to settle that Severino case, at least once.
Yeah, but we're defendants in that one. It's harder for us. Well, we're defendants of both of them, but it's much, much harder. I don't believe we're trying to settle the Doty case at all. At least not.
I would hope not. Jeez. Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, foreclosures. Pretty much things are moving along. We did have one that ended up getting, finally the settlement agreement got completed, so that ended up with about, I think, close to between $5,000 and $6,000 for the district was recouped in order to put that one to rest. I did some looking into our issue with lodge construction in the clubhouse. Looked over the contract. I'm going to be getting with Tanya hopefully sometime next week. We've talked with some consultants about doing a very extensive inspection of the clubhouse. They want to see all of the construction documents that went into the construction, and going over the contract. We may not have a recourse. A lot of it's going to depend on what documentation we still have. It was done through an AIA contract, and that contract has obviously an architect is involved. Architect is supposed to be overseeing the project, but obviously meets with representatives of the owner. And so if certain things, got signed off on, we may not have a recourse. So a lot of that's just going to depend on what the paperwork says. So I'm making an effort to get all that collected, review it, and then we'll send it off to we have at least one inspection company that comes highly recommended, but they want to take a look at the construction documents before they're willing to give us a quote as a price.
Where are they based?
I believe it's out of Tampa.
Out of Tampa. We haven't contacted Lodge yet, then?
No, have not.
Until we get our ducks in
a row, yes, sir. And I'll keep you informed, obviously.
David, on foreclosures, there's a person owes an assessment, they'll have an assessment penalty. Is there attorney cost for administration okay?
Absolutely. All that stuff is included. If a foreclosure is filed, we keep documenting all that, all that, and that goes into the settlement agreement.
Is $1,500 on your part, in terms of expenses and so forth, is that still the benchmark?
Yes, so generally that's for an uncontested foreclosure, that's pretty standard.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. Tanya, General Manager's report.
At the last meeting, the board approved to formally amend Section 9-98 of the county ordinance to increase the threshold for competitive bidding requirement from $10,000 to $25,000. This amendment is scheduled to be presented to the Board of County Commissioners at their board meeting February 2nd. David Shoemaker will be in attendance in case there's any questions.
Let me just stop you right there and ask. If you remember when we went ahead and did that, we did so with the proviso that contracts would come before the board for review before being executed. And I had a question earlier this morning. Is that in writing anywhere in our procedure?
As far as our policy manual? I'll have to check on that. But like I say, at this point right now, it's for $10,000, it has to be brought to the board, no matter what. If it's over $10,000 of an expenditure, it comes before the board. It's only the $25,000. The change from 10 to 25 is when we are required to publicly bid.
Okay. That's in writing?
Yes.
10,000? It comes before the board?
Correct.
I really want to nail this one down, so we may just have no issues at all. On the other hand, we've had issues before,
and Tanya and I have been discussing, we are going to start looking into, it's on Tanya's radar, my radar, as far as doing a complete overhaul of the policy, of the district policy manual. But Yes, as it stands right now, if it's over $10,000 expenditure, it comes before the board for approval.
And that's in writing. Is that in the purchasing policy, or is that our overall? When you talk about the policy manual, let's be very clear that whole document needs a thorough reworking. And I would like to see the same procedure implemented that we did with the employee handbook, because I think that worked very well.
That's the goal.
And I would want to make sure that all my board colleagues have a chance to review that manual and to present their thoughts. So let us know when you're starting down that path.
Yes, sir.
While we're on this subject, let me understand it, because I think Ross questioned me about it last week. So this is to change to, you can give out a contract. Before, anything over 10,000 you had to put out to bid. Now that number's 25,000.
Correct.
But at the same time, if it's between 10 or 25, you're still going to come back to the board. I'm just afraid I'm going to get asked this question, and I need to know the answer. So explain it one more time.
That's correct, what you just said. The board still wanted ability to approve any purchase over 10,000, but it does not have to go out for competitive bidding.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Allison, that's Commissioner Hanley for the record. Okay. Go ahead, Tanya.
31 total security cameras have been installed in the district recreational facilities and are up and running. And we have 6 street lights that have been installed in the district, 4 at the tennis courts and 2 at San Bruno Drive. And lastly, the bids are due February 9th for the bathroom and storage facility at the Racquet Club.
Any comments, questions, board members?
How are we coming on the thing for Dollar General? The Dollar General triangle that we talked about, are we gaining on that?
Mr. Hurley has met with one contractor, but we're still working on quotes. Is that correct? Yes. Quotes, okay. Okay, we're still working on quotes.
Allison, did you get that for the record? Okay. You're a long way from the mic. Okay. We have any unfinished business?
None.
Any new business?
No.
No committee reports?
None.
Okay. Public comments?
Patricia Gangemi, resident. I have a comment to make on I'm looking forward very much to seeing the new website. I have a comment that could be a possible solution to the situation that has been in the past where people put on their properties for sale or rent, and then because they have the total jurisdiction of removing it, it stays on there forever. And people that are looking to come to this area, I know myself, if I'm on a website and I don't find the information I want, I get very frustrated, and I certainly would be frustrated if I was looking at a property I was very much interested in, only to find out it was sold 2 years before. I think the solution could be much like Craigslist. Your posting would expire at a certain amount of time. It could be 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days, but it automatically would be off the website. Is that a possibility?
I know that I asked them some questions about how it functions, and they're going to go over it with me next week in training, to explore, the opportunities. But I do know that our website now, that was not an option. So that's why that was a problem. It just stayed on there indefinitely until somebody removed it.
So could that become an option if we elect to go that way? I think it's detrimental to our community to not have that availability of posting a property or your rental.
Like I said, they're going to go over that next week in training with me, and I do know they also offer an option of charging people to post as well. So
well, that's a good point too, because I think people pay attention to when it expires versus just leaving it on there and, well, I'll get to it. Then they sell the house and they move.
Right. Yeah. So I should have more information, after training next week.
Thank you. And I have a question for our attorney. You mentioned that there was one foreclosure that did take place, but you didn't happen to mention how many foreclosures are in our community.
Oh, well, currently pending, it's on the foreclosure report. I'd have to calculate it, but it's probably 50 or 60, so.
Okay, could you bring that at the next meeting so
Absolutely.
we have that? Thank you.
I heard that.
Good afternoon, Bill Norcross. I am on the golf committee, the chairman. We've discussed this deal with the 90 and 150-day golf ticket. And I just have a couple of suggestions because I think the consensus on the committee was to be inflexible. It's either 90 days or 150 days or 3 months or 5 months. It's very simple. What happened, and the big beef that one of our members had here, was some kind of backroom deals that were going on. And I totally agree with him that it shouldn't really happen. So unless there was some crazy extenuating circumstance. When you come into the clubhouse, you buy a 90-day ticket or you buy a 150-day ticket. And that's it. Simple. It's all color-coded, numbered, so that we can track how many people are actually using the shorter term or the longer term. I think it'd be flexible. You can adjust it through the year, and actually in the summertime, you can reduce the rate a little bit to attract more people. Because a lot of people will play, but they don't want to pay a membership fee. So, I know you discussed this a long time. It took a long time, as Mr. Halberg would say, what are we doing with this? I mean, this should be either Jim's decision or the golf committee's decision, but to have this keep on coming up and wasting so much time that it's, it's not ridiculous, but
Bill,
it's close to it.
Let's be very clear that the responsibility of this board is to govern. And when we have a mess like we have here, it comes back to the board.
Right.
Now, your committee will have the opportunity to appoint a representative to the committee we're talking about. We'll get everybody's thoughts, and we'll come up with, and it's a standing committee this time. So that means that sunshine law is in effect, and we will receive the recommendations of that particular committee. And then we'll go from there. But make no mistake that when we have this kind of situation, it is our responsibility to address it if it has not been addressed properly before, and we will do that.
Right. I think Pat Holmes has brought up a lot of different situations, and some other people have. And as you look into it, it gets more convoluted. I agree. So hopefully this advisory thing that you suggest will finally settle the matter. A monthly ticket or a 90-day ticket or a 150-day ticket or a 5-month ticket. Very, very simple. I think it's a good idea. I think that it can be resolved without a big problem. Thank you.
Let's hope so. Thanks, Bill. Anybody else? I guess we're all talked out. Back to the board for any final comments on any subject.
Just the gavel.
Meeting is adjourned.
One question for you. MGA, WGA, member of the golf committee. What about a member of the district office? Neil?
Well, I assume Tanya and Jim Kurtzborn.
Well, Jim definitely.